Visit hereforitall.com.
Before I was adopted, I felt like nobody wanted me. I felt like my life was already over.
At a certain age, they don't want you. You're troubled and stuff.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Who would adopt a 17-year-old?
Inside, I knew, I'm not a troubled kid.
Hope everyone's well. Good morning to you. Happy Monday.
My biggest fear was that I would age out.
To get to today.
Be sufficient on my own.
I had nightmares every single day at my birth mom's house. It was just really scary for me living there.
I was scared, I was lost, and I felt hopeless.
I felt like, don't I deserve to feel happy and loved?
I just wish I'd gotten adopted sooner.
Unfortunately, the number of children waiting to be adopted from foster care is on the rise. The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is the only public nonprofit charity in the U.S. focused exclusively on foster care adoption. You can help. Go to davethomasfoundation.org to learn more.
The Frank Beckmann Show, News Talk 760 WJR. Now in for Frank, here's Chris Renwick.
Hey, good morning to you. Happy Monday. Lots to get to today on this, what is this, Christmas morning here? Little Democrat National Convention for you. Governor Gretchen Whitmer slated to talk later on. I mean, we got a lot to cover. Apparently, there's been some sort of agreement between the Senate leaders and Governor Gretchen Whitmer. So kind of a four-leaf clover there this morning. But I kind of wanted to start with a story that it just kind of blows my mind. And there's been another story also that we'll get to a little later on that I couldn't stop thinking about all weekend. And I had to do a little more digging for you because it was, I couldn't stop thinking about it and the absurdity of it. And it has to do with Donald Trump and this new quote unquote birther rumor that the president just won't disavow. It's craziness. We'll get to that later. But I wanted to start the show today and to start your Monday morning with some news out of a former president. And Barack Obama was on a podcast, I believe it was Friday. And it was the David Plouffe podcast. And David Plouffe is the former president's campaign manager. So they're obviously very close. So it's no surprise that Barack Obama would go on this podcast. But he said some things that I find to be, I just scratch my head a little bit. And he talked a lot about Donald Trump, not by name, but he talked about the way that Republicans skew the system in their favor. He talked about Donald Trump essentially cutting off the Postal Service as another way of voter suppression. I'll tell you what, I'll let him explain it. Here's Barack Obama on the David Plouffe podcast on Friday. Cut number 1, please, Jason.
What we've seen in a way that is unique to modern political history is a president who's explicit trying to discourage people from voting, right? I mean, usually the Republican Party for quite some time has actively tried to discourage people's votes from counting in all kinds of ways, whether it's voter ID laws or blatant gerrymandering, making it difficult for people in certain precincts to find their polling places, right? All that stuff is contrary to American democracy, but I think the Republicans' view has been it's all fair game as long as it helps us gain power. What we've never seen before is a president say, I'm going to try to actively kneecap the Postal Service to encourage voting, and I will be explicit about the reason I'm doing it.
Yeah.
That's sort of unheard of. Right?
Okay, all right. So,
and we also have
all right, that's good. That's good. That's plenty. That's enough. So now you're telling me, those big bad Republicans always drawing those nasty lines, suppressing voters by crazily requiring some sort of ID to identify who's voting. Weird. But you would think with all of these these ways that Republicans tip the scale in their favor, you would think that no Democrat's ever been elected. But Mr. President, you were elected for 2 terms. There are many Democrats. In fact, the Democrats hold the majority in the House. So how the hell does somebody like AOC or Rashida Tlaib or Ilhan Omar or Barack Obama get elected with the way that these Republicans suppress voters in the United States? Tell me. Tell me how that happens. It's crazy. And to go along these lines, and the absolute twisting of words and thoughts. You know what Donald Trump has said? Actually, what he said as early as Friday or as soon as Friday? Trump said the money won't be coming for the Postal Service unless the Democrats come back to the negotiating table to talk about coronavirus relief and aid for the American people. Come on now. Come on now. That's crazy. It's a weak argument to say that Democrats can't get elected because of these laws, these voter suppression tactics that the GOP puts in. It's just not true. All this to say, maybe this is just a way, because Barack Obama knows that Joe Biden can't get elected. Because in the words of Barack Obama, apparently, according to a new report, Barack Obama telling other Democrats during the 2020 primary campaign, don't underestimate Joe's ability to fudge it up. Yeah, Barack Obama saying that now. Don't underestimate Joe's ability to bleep it up. In the Biden campaigns, all angry because of the lack of apparent support by his former boss. So maybe Barack Obama doesn't think this thing is as ironclad as many Biden supporters. And this is just another way for the former president to get out there and try to change some minds. I'd love to get your thoughts on this. I read this and I thought this was crazy. Whatever happened to presidents, by the way, just going. You're just going to go. Just go. What are we doing here? This I haven't heard from George Bush in years until recently. He's been gone, enjoying retirement. Come on. It's crazy. 800-859-0957, 800-859-0WJR, the number for you to call or text. Would love to get your thoughts on this. And that number you can text as well. And we are on Facebook and on YouTube, so you can watch the show there. All right. At 9:13, let's head on out to the roadways, check things out there with our Dana Clark. Morning, Dana.
This report is sponsored by Everstream, the business-only fiber network.
At Everstream, the business-only fiber network, we believe business deserves better. Everstream's full-service approach to business connectivity delivers the speed and reliability that businesses demand. Everstream, faster fiber, better business.
Traffic First, sponsored by Marathon. No matter where your travels take you, Marathon can improve your engine performance with quality top-tier gasoline. Marathon, fueling the American spirit. 75 northbound, right before 696. Accident in that road construction area, seeing delays from at least 8 Mile. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Gordon Chevrolet. Gordon Chevrolet, where not only do you pick your payments, but now pick your program. Need to pull ahead your lease? Do you need GM employee pricing or a low payment with zero interest? Let Gordon Chevrolet help you find it on Ford Road, just west of Merriman in Garden City. GordonChevrolet.com. Gordon Chevrolet, find new roads.
After a dry start to this Monday, a front may trigger an isolated shower thunderstorm this afternoon with a high of 82, then clearing tonight with a low down to 60, and it will be a sunny Tuesday tomorrow with a high reaching 77. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Jeff Maher on News Talk 760 WJR.
How much do you need?
Hey, Chris.
Hey, good morning, David. How are you?
Good. I think we got our.
You sound great this morning.
I think we got our echoing problems fixed now.
All right, let's catch up here. Good morning, everybody. Jim, Todd, good morning to you. Obama needs to ride off into the sunset. He had his 8 years and then go away already. Well, look, I'm not saying but I mean, that's kind of been how this works, right? With former presidents, you go away, you go live your life. You've had 4 or 8 stressful years, and away you go.
Come on.
Todd, Obama closed post office in 2011 and 16. In fact, between 11 and 16, there were roughly 14,000 USPS mailboxes removed, which was during the Obama administration. Robert, where's Frank? Frank is on family vacation this week, so he will be back next week. No worries. Todd, you guys are full of, well, can't say that. GOP DOA 2020. Okay, Todd, just tell me how I'm wrong. That's all. That's all. Bring some facts and we can have a discussion. We don't have to use nasty word and language. Come on. Jim, why does the taxpayers have to keep bailing out the USPS? Well, look, for me, I'm okay with that part of it, but the Democrats and Nancy Pelosi, they want, hold on, I have it written down here, $3.5 billion in election resources to go to the post office. Okay, fine. But you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't complain when the president signs an executive order for $400 in unemployment, basically security for people. You can't be upset when he's going to send out another round of stimulus checks, allegedly. But you can't just excuse all of the representatives and expect them to go away and then want more money for something else come on, this is politics. Politics is give and take. It's give and take. Sometimes you take, sometimes you give. And unfortunately now Nancy Pelosi just got her hands in her pockets. So I don't know. That's all I'm saying. Jim, good morning to you. Mismanaged for decades. David, good morning. Mark, good morning, crew. Looking for another great show. Thank you for tuning in. So I don't know. Look, these are just some of the things that I've been thinking, and to me, it's craziness. This is basic, like
the smartest
political
way to
thought.
And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/search. That's ZipRecruiter.com/search. ZipRecruiter.com/search.
The Frank Beckmann Show, News Talk 760 WJR. Now in for Frank, here's Chris Renwick.
Look, I just don't think it's right for Nancy Pelosi to just keep her hands in her pockets and just want. It's politics. Sometimes you got to compromise. It's very simple. And for Nancy Pelosi to scoff at the president for signing an executive order for $400 in unemployment, basically protections for people who still need to be on unemployment, talking about another round of stimulus checks, a lot of money for a family of 4, by the way, over $3,000. And then you excuse your chamber and its representatives and want to cry foul when the president doesn't want to put in $3.5 billion to the post office. I mean, come on. You got to get to the table. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you don't want to do it. But maybe you should do what's best for the American people instead of playing a game. Instead of giving a concession to the president. I know you don't want to do that here on whatever it is, mid-August. I'm just saying. 800-859-0957. 800-859-0WJR, the number 40 caller text. Would love to get your thoughts on it. Let's go to Clinton Township and Mike. Good morning, Michael. Hey, Mike.
Hello.
Hey.
I'm here.
Hey.
Well, what's going to happen next, and you can mark this down on this day that I said it, right up around Election Day, the Democrats are going to go to court to get votes counted earlier than Election Day and later. So any ballot that comes in like on Election Day, the ballots that don't come in, they're going to compare them with who didn't vote. They're going to go get those people, hand them an absentee ballot and get them voting. That's called vote harvesting. That's what they did in California and how they turned the California representatives, 3 of the races around. They were voted on Election Day. They said, well, the Republican won. Then all of a sudden, 3-4 days, a week later, 2 weeks later, said, well, it really didn't happen that way.
No, it's a good point, Mike. And it's just, but then you've got Barack Obama going, well, it's the Republicans that have rigged the system with voter ID laws and gerrymandering.
They lose $1.50 a package for Amazon deliveries. When the post office delivers a package for Jeff Bezos, the richest person in the world, they lose $1.50 for each package. That's the average.
Yeah.
And they wonder why the post office can't sustain itself. Well, because they're helping out the richest man in the world. It's almost like
yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, Mike. Excuse me. I appreciate it. I appreciate the call, Mike. Thank you. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. To me, it's very simple. It's a very simple concept. You can't have your cake and eat it too. So Nancy needs to come back to the table. They need to talk. But I don't know that it's Barack Obama's place to be out here, doing stuff like this either. He had his time. I mean, there's nothing against it. It's just not what we've seen in the past. That's all. Adam in Dearborn. Good morning to you, Adam.
How are you?
Good.
Good. Yes, just on these COVID relief packages, what they need to do is do standalone bills. Why does every bill have to have the kitchen sink, put into it? And I get $1,100 a month in my retirement. Now they want me to pay federally for somebody in New York or California for their $5,000 a month retirement. I don't think it's fair. I think that if you want to do something for the American people, do it. But don't throw in every bill under the sun.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, that's big government and that's bogging down the system. I don't like that. I mean, I absolutely agree with you on that, Adam.
They got to get rid of that. And when it comes to Obama, I wouldn't worry about him. I'd want him out more. Everybody he's ever backed lost.
Well, and look, and this just goes to kind of my point, because now we've got a new report out, fresh off the presses, that apparently Barack Obama behind the scenes is telling people, look, don't be surprised if Joe Biden bleeps this thing up. Don't underestimate Joe's ability to do that. So he can go out on these podcasts and say, hey, it's the Republicans' fault for voter ID laws, and it's the GOP's fault for gerrymandering. So I don't know. I'm just saying.
I agree with you. I just think the main problem is the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
I think it's elder abuse, and you can't say it to anybody.
Yeah. All right, Adam. Hey, thank you for the call. Appreciate it, my friend. 800-859-0957. Let's go to Jimmy on a cell. Good morning, Jimmy.
Hey, good morning, bud. How you doing?
Hey, man, what's up?
Oh, just I want to comment on the Obama thing. He, like you said, he had 8 terms. He got voted in twice. And if this, like you said, most presidents, they go enjoy their, their retirement and doing it. This guy's stepping in, talking now. If anything, he should be talking about bringing us together. This guy was our first black president. He had 2 terms to bring somewhat racial equality together. Why is all this big thing going on now, the rioting, looting, and the oppression and all that? How come that wasn't happening when he was president? And if anything, if he's going to step forward and talk now, he should come in and try to bring people together and somewhat of a resolution. I just don't understand how where we're at today. We're worse than we were.
Well, Jimmy, and it's an interesting thought, but let me bring this to you here, because obviously we all remember what happened in Ferguson, right? And the shooting of Michael Brown by a police officer in Ferguson, Missouri. The riots in Ferguson were fierce, and they went on for days. It was Eric Holder. It was the Obama administration's DOJ who came out and said, no, this is not what happened. This is not what you guys are protesting. Isn't what happened. I mean, remember that. That was kind of the first wave of these protests that they weren't quite as violent as they are now, but there was certainly some unrest in Ferguson. Yes. And remember, it was Obama's DOJ who shot that down. So, and that's just back then.
He was setting this up for the whole time that he was. This is part of his motivation to whatever's going on right now.
And Jimmy, let me look. I'm going to shoot a hole in my own argument here, okay? Because look, Donald Trump is not the traditional president, okay? I think we can all agree on that. He does some things differently than presidents in the past. Certainly, Barack Obama, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton. I mean, the whole crew. He does things differently. So I guess we really shouldn't be surprised if Barack Obama wants to come out and be active and whatever, and that's fine. So that's, breaking from kind of the norms, and I don't want to say tradition, but kind of the unspoken rule once you get out of office. So I suppose it's not crazy, and quite frankly, I don't know who else the Democrats lean on. They don't have anybody. They gotta to lean on Barack Obama because it's all they got. But I just find it curious that in the same weekend, we get this story out of this podcast from his former campaign manager. And then we also get a story of Obama going, hey, guys, don't be surprised if Joe messes this up for us. Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate the call. 800-859-0957, 800-859-0WJR, the number for you to call or text. We're live on Facebook and on YouTube, so you can head on over and watch the show there. All right, 9:27, let's head on up to the roadways, get an update with our Dana Clark.
This report is sponsored by the podcast, The Pete and Sebastian Show. The Pete and Sebastian Show with Pete Corielli and Sebastian Maniscalco. It's your 2 favorite Italian-American comedians, bringing you nonstop laughs and outrageous stories from the snapshots of their everyday lives. Find The Pete and Sebastian Show wherever you listen to podcasts.
Still watching an earlier accident in that road construction area, 75 northbound before 696. That collision has you slow from at least 8 Mile. Construction along 96 eastbound at Old Plank Road. Right lane is closed until 3 p.m. on Friday. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Carpenters Labor Management Partnership Team. Hire the Carpenter LMPT contractors for your next construction project. Their workforce is the best in Michigan, professional, safety conscious, and craft trained for every project. Hire the Carpenters LMPT contractors today. Call 877-477-LMPT. That's 877-477-LMPT. Some clouds and sun to start. Showers or thunderstorms later this afternoon. A high of 81 tonight. Clear skies. Low 60. Some clouds and sun as well on Tuesday. No rain. A high of 77. Partly cloudy skies. 68 degrees. I'm Dana Clark, WJR News with Dick Hafner in about 2 minutes.
Believe. World of infinite possibilities. In these current tough times, we're all affected in some way or another since we are all connected to the automotive industry. However, we have to believe in each other. Tom Wilson Ford is all about giving back to our
Hello, David.
So your question for today, my friend,
Mm-hmm.
is vacations.
Uh-huh.
Where is your favorite place to go on vacation, take your family?
Well, it's hard to beat Northern Michigan in the summer. Really hard. And really, we haven't done a vacation with Jake yet, like a big vacation with Jake. But Jake's a big fan of the beach, right? Big fan of the beach. So I would say probably somewhere beachy. If we're taking the family. Obviously, we do Florida a lot because I've got some family down there. Not recent, obviously we haven't gone lately. But Florida's good. Anywhere in the tropics, Bahamas, Caribbean is good. One place I got to get to, and I don't know when that's happening now with all this craziness going on. But I got to get to Italy. I haven't been to Italy yet.
A lot of people like to go to Italy. I hear a lot of people that like to go to Italy. If I'm traveling out of the country, I'm going to Scotland, and I'm going to play at St. Andrews.
Okay, that's good. That's good. You going to wear a kilt?
No.
What do you mean no?
No.
What do you mean no?
No. No. No need to wear a kilt.
Maybe not while you golf, but while you take in the scenery. Yes, absolutely.
No.
Oh, jeez.
I'm gonna go for a week. I want to play a bunch of courses, over a week's time.
Frank did the whole British Isles thing. You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
He played some great courses over there. He played Trump's was it? Is it Turnberry?
Yeah.
Turnberry. Yeah. Loved it. He said it was one of the best courses he ever played.
So yeah, you just got to make sure you got the right clothing. It tends to get some weather issues over there sometimes. You might want to need a Gore-Tex suit, stuff like that. So
yeah.
But yeah, that's what I would like to do if I'm going to go out of the country. Otherwise, I do like to go to Northern Michigan, but only to go play golf. I don't need to go to sit. I don't need to go to Northern Michigan to go to the beach or anything, or the winery or anything like that. I'm gonna go play golf, and or I'm gonna go to Vegas.
Vegas.
I love Vegas.
You're a big casino guy.
I'm a big casino guy.
Yeah, you're a big casino.
I like to play golf in Vegas. I used to love.
I've never played golf in Vegas.
I used to love to bowl in Vegas too.
In Reno.
Yeah, in Reno, but also in Vegas too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you used to do that a lot. I like golfing in Scottsdale. I've played golf in Scottsdale. I like golfing.
I've never played golf I've never been to Arizona, but I've heard golf in Arizona is great.
Yeah, it's cool. Played. My aunt lives right by Greyhawk, so which is Phil Mickelson's home course.
Yeah,
so, I played Greyhawk many times.
Oh, cool.
And it's great when you go in August and you play golf at Greyhawk, and they tell you they have like two rules. You drink before you get thirsty. And if you hit a ball where you can't see it, then you just drop and you hit another ball. You don't need to run into any type of any animals.
No, I'm not doing that. I don't even know if that'd count the stroke, and I would. But
right, so I mean, it's interesting, to dry heat. So
yes. Jim, vote in person, not the mail, and Jim says he'd go to Paris or likes Paris. So Jim, have you been to Paris? I've also never been to Paris. I've heard Paris is awesome.
I hear England's kind of cool also.
See, here's the thing: is I'm going somewhere where there's like top-notch food, right? So like Italy
works, yeah.
Italy is top-notch, and then France. I mean, come on, like that's good stuff. Todd, you're an idiot to protect the Russian useful idiot and his Republicans. Shame and un-American. I'm not protecting anybody. Look, I'm just calling out the silliness. That's all I'm doing. It's silliness. It's crazy. But that's neither here nor there. Thank you, Todd, for the feedback. And then he tags the Mueller report. That's good.
I haven't seen Todd on this before. This is a new.
Welcome, Todd. It's good to have you here.
Yeah, for sure.
So anyway, I don't. Let me know when we got our guest on the line too, because I think he should be calling in here shortly.
Yeah, he has not called in yet. He should be calling in shortly.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, yeah, those are the places I'd go. You know, places I'm not going are like Australia. I'm not doing that. Have you seen the animals in Australia?
Yeah. You know, I got to tell you, my
Here,
brother.
hold on. Let me just clear this up. We have two Todds on the feed here.
Yes.
We have Todd Stoney, and then we have Todd Caswell.
Yes.
So Todd Caswell is saying it's not me.
Right.
What Todd Stoney's saying, you see?
Correct. Right. There's two
So
different people.
I don't mean to get you the Todds mixed up here.
Correct. My brother Eric studied in Australia for 8 months in Wollongong. So he enjoyed it.
Did he encounter one of those spiders that are the size of a tennis racket?
No, he didn't have any issues. No, he actually went into New Zealand, though, and he bungee jumped from the second highest peak in the world.
No, he didn't.
Yes, and I got video of it with this weird music.
I mean, there isn't enough money in the world for me to do that.
Very cool. So we're
I don't even like roller coasters, David.
Oh,
you understand?
Really?
No.
Matthew Sims is on the line. We're coming back.
All right, great.
Roller coasters are fun. We'll talk about that next break.
Hearts and minds for you. Henry Ford Health System, all for you. See everything we're doing to maintain a safe, clean environment at henryford.com/all-for-safety.
The Frank Beckmann Show, News Talk 760 WJR. Now in for Frank, here's Chris Renwick.
All right, welcome back. 800-859-0957, 800-859-0WJR, the number for you to call or text. We're live on Facebook and on YouTube, so you can watch the show there. And if you're on the line, hold tight. We'll get to you in just a moment. But there was another topic that I wanted to cover here real quick, and it's on the COVID lines. And look, we've seen some big names here recently talk about testing positive for the virus. It turns out they were false. They are false positives. One of them being Matthew Stafford, and the other one being Mike DeWine, the governor of Ohio. And in those cases, both of those men in their positions, they'll get tested multiple times, right? And the interesting part in all that is you or me or whoever probably they don't have that luxury. And, you know, if you feel like you've got the symptoms, you run to one of the testing sites, you get tested out, you go home, wait a couple days, get your test results back, and you're positive. So now you got to quarantine at home. But how many times or what's the percentages about basically false positives or false negative tests? And to help me sort that out is a guest you've heard on this show multiple times, and happy to have him back on. It's Dr. Matthew Sims, Director of Infectious Disease Research at Beaumont Health, here on the Frank Beckmann Show. Doc, good morning to you.
Good morning, Chris.
So walk me through this. How many, give me percentages of how many tests that either you've seen or that you suspect could be false, either positive or negative.
Sure. So you got to realize I see patients mostly in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm much more worried about false negatives than false positives.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the patients I see have been admitted with symptoms consistent with COVID, and then they have tested negative. So those are the people we worry about false negatives. Now, we frequently retest those people, and most of the time the test comes back and says it was not COVID again. So the actual false negative rate is relatively low. The false positive rate, harder to know, because most of the time people who get a positive test don't get retested again right away. And so the question is, if they don't develop symptoms, were they a positive case which was asymptomatic, or were they a false positive? And we don't know that for sure.
So is it, I mean, are we still able to trust these tests?
In general, I think we can trust the tests pretty well. Now, here's the thing. How good a test is, no matter what the test is, all depends on what we call the pre-test probability, right? Which means how likely is that test able to give you the result you're looking for? How likely is it that that person you're testing is going to be positive? So in a time when COVID is circulating a lot and you're testing people who have symptoms, the pretest probability is very high. So the chances of a false positive is relatively low. If there's no COVID around, so let's say we took this test back in time 2 years ago when there was no such thing as COVID, and we tested it. Well, the pretest probability there is 0. So any test you get back positive is going to be a false positive. So the lower the chances that there's really COVID circulating, the higher the risk of a false positive.
So, and then to, I guess, kind of springboard on the actually going and getting the test yourself, right? So you feel like you've got some symptoms, you head on over to Beaumont or wherever to get tested. And you'll tell people, like if they're in their car, right? You go home and get tested, and you'll say go quarantine for a couple days, wait for your results. So everybody goes home, they wait for the results come back, and it's positive. Is it a situation? Do we even have the resources, and I mean tests available, to say, all right, you're positive, come back in a day, and then let's retest? Is that even something that's being discussed, or is it literally just here's your results, you're positive, and now you got to quarantine for 14 days?
So you're right. We don't have enough tests, and it's an issue. Now, when you use a test, the whole idea is to use it in a way that minimizes risk to everybody, to the person getting tested, to the people around them. Right now, COVID is circulating at relatively high rates, and you're talking about a person who's getting tested because they have symptoms. And we're not in the middle of flu season where, maybe it's flu. So the chances are, if you get tested with symptoms, it's going to be right. So if it comes back positive, that answer is going to be right. So at that point, a very, very small number might be false positives. It's safer to have everybody do that 14 days of isolation so that they don't go infecting other people, rather than the off chance that that might be a false positive.
Interesting stuff. Dr. Matthew Sims, Director of Infectious Disease Research at Beaumont Health. Doc, we appreciate the time. Thank you for coming on and helping us clear that up.
No, happy to.
All right, there he is, Dr. Sims over at Beaumont. We appreciate that. 800-859-0957, 800-859-0WJR. The number for you to call or text. We're live on Facebook and on YouTube, so you can watch the show there and join in that way. All right, lots still to come here on the Frank Beckmann Show. But first, we got to get an update on the status of our road situation out there this morning here on a Monday. And we do that with our Dana Clark. Good morning, Dana.
Good morning, Chris. The roadways are not looking too bad. An earlier accident still causing slight delay 75 northbound right before 696. That accident near 10 Mile is blocking the right lane, seeing a delay from at least 9 Mile. Also, construction today in the midday, Lodge northbound between 9 Mile and Evergreen. 2 left lanes are closed until 3 p.m. Now, WJR weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Shelving.com. In your changed work environment, maximize space and increase performance in your manufacturing facility, warehouse, school, or home with Shelving.com's durable wire metal shelving and pallet racks. Order today at Shelving.com and get a free design consultation and 11% off. That's Shelving.com. We rack your world.
It'll be dry initially on this Monday, then a mix of clouds and sun for the afternoon with a slight chance for a shower thunderstorm along the front as the high hits 82. Clearing will take place tonight with a low 60. Sunny tomorrow, the high near 77. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Jeff Maher on News Talk 760 WJR.
If you're thinking about replacing your windows, I want you to think about plastic. That's right, plastic. Most windows are made out of vinyl, which is just a fancy word for plastic. You know, the same thing they make those flimsy, cheap outdoor chairs from. Plastic. The same thing you put your sandwich in or they make water bottles from. Plastic. Even expensive composite windows are really just plastic, made with wood. Plastic window frames will expand and contract, and expand and contract, and eventually warp in Michigan's nasty weather blender. Here's a better idea. Call Performance Remodeling for heavy-duty fiberglass windows that won't warp.
All right, sorry, friends.
Their shape. They look fantastic. And
I had to get some more coffee, Dave. I'm sorry.
That's not a problem. We had your back. We didn't go back to an empty chair.
All right, let's see here. Clay says Athens and Rome sound fun. Yeah, Greece would be awesome. Yeah, I don't know. What do you mean, Clay? Close to Atlanta.
Close to Atlanta. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, those are probably my choices, though. Those would probably be my choices. All right, let's see here.
I want to go back to your roller coaster issue. Why are we scared of roller coasters?
Hold on real quick. When we come back, I want you to play cut 2. So out of the bumper music, before you come to me, play cut 2.
All right, Jason gave you the thumbs up.
Cool.
All right. Yes.
Okay, roller coasters.
Augusta would be awesome, Clay. Yes.
Yes, that would be great. Roller coasters. Here's my theory, right? Because I don't like to fly. I mean, I do fly, but I don't like to fly.
Who are you, John Madden?
John Madden doesn't like to fly?
John Madden doesn't like to fly. He took the bus everywhere.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh. No, I don't like to fly. I don't like roller coasters. It's not that I'm necessarily afraid of heights, but like, it's kind of the same reason why I don't like the ocean, right? Like, I don't like getting like deep into the ocean. We're humans. We're not meant for that. We're not meant to be up high. We're not meant to be flying through the air. That's not what we're meant to be. We're supposed to be here on the ground. That's what we're here for. Now, through innovation, and that's how we get to those other things. But no, we're not supposed to be there. I'm not supposed to be bungee jumping off a mountain. Are you crazy?
Isn't statistically speaking, though, flying is still the safest way to travel?
Probably, but I'm just saying. I look, and Clay, yes, I will fly. I don't like it. All I'm saying is I'm not supposed to be up in a tube 33,000 feet in the air. That's not where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be on the ground.
I see Chris has his Doug FM pen.
So I guess you're just driving around the United States then and going and just go get an RV.
Again, I do fly.
Go get an RV and just drive around.
No. I do fly. I just don't like it. I got to be real liquored up to fly. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. All right.
But no, I'm kidding. But I can't. It's very anxiety ridden. I can't sleep on a plane. No, if I go out to like Vegas or if I go out to the West Coast, I can't sleep. It's like a 5-hour flight. I can't even sleep because it's just too.
I don't really sleep on planes either.
But now, like Delta's great because they've got the TVs and stuff built in, so you guys can watch anything. So I'll pop on a movie, and I'll just try to dial out and tune it out.
All right, we're coming back.
But yeah, no, it's not big into that.
Preview or consign items at Dumichel's Gallery across from the Renaissance Center. For details, visit auctiondetroit.com. Dumichel's, a Detroit tradition since 1927.
The Frank Beckmann Show, News Talk 760 WJR. Now in for Frank, here's Chris Renwick.
Well,
800.
That there's got to be at least a couple of two-way interactions, meaning measurable, actual interactions, not just checking a box saying I received an email, between the students and the teachers every time period. That this business about mandating in class in person. One of the reasons why that didn't take root is that we are very careful and very cautious about applying one-size-fits-all models which I believe we've all experienced over the last few months, knowing and recognizing that that's a dangerous place for government to go.
There he is, Mike Shirkey, this morning on with Paul W., talking about this deal that the Senate and Governor Gretchen Whitmer have reached on a return to schools bill. Apparently, Michigan schools deem that it's safe to go back to in-person learning during this COVID-19 outbreak. And the bill would prioritize the option for students K through fifth grade under the legislation that would largely base district state funding on last year's pupil count to account for enrollment uncertainty. The bills were approved in the Senate Saturday, and will head to the House today. I find it interesting because, boy, it's really tough to get the governor and either chamber at the state legislature to agree on really much of anything. And remember, it was Governor Gretchen Whitmer who vetoed a largely bipartisan, and I almost want to say completely bipartisan bill on whistleblower protections. And I don't remember for sure, but I'm almost positive that at least almost every member of the legislature, both Democrat and Republican, voted in favor of this, and Governor Gretchen Whitmer vetoed it. So I don't know that this is a slam dunk yet. We'll see what comes out of the House and if they make any tweaks and if it needs to go back to the Senate before heading to the governor's desk. But interesting to know. That's all. So some news there on the school front for you this Monday morning as well. 800-859-0957, 800-859-0WJR. We can rap about that. Also talking about Barack Obama on his former campaign manager podcast on Friday. Kind of getting into President Trump a little bit, getting into the Republicans, gerrymandering, voter ID, all reasons and all ways that the Republicans have tried to suppress voter turnout and voters in the past. But then how does somebody like Barack Obama get elected? How does somebody like Rashida Tlaib or Ilhan Omar or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, go down the list. How does that even get elected? Simple question. 800-859-0957. Tim in Westland. Good morning, Tim.
Take my call.
Yeah, you got it, man. What's going on?
Well, if the courts do not stop the governor's executive orders, which have the force of law, just prior to Election Day, I foresee the governor passing executive orders that will allow vote harvesting, votes to be opened prior to Election Day so they can start counting, votes to be received after Election Day, and her executive orders having the force of law. Who can say anything to stop it?
Well, it's an interesting theory, Tim. I mean, I guess I don't know, and we would have to consult one of our clerks or obviously the Secretary of State on that. I don't know the legality of that. I would guess that that's probably not allowed. That those can't be opened up beforehand. But with her executive power here, I don't know. We'd have to get some clarification on that. It's a good question, Tim. I mean, that would really open up a lot of. I mean, I would think it would open up a lot of possibilities for some nastiness to get into our November election. And you're going on the assumption that, I mean, if that's the case, right? If that's the case, Joe Biden's probably in a lot of trouble. If we get to like November 1st, I would, and that something like that comes out, I got to imagine that's that would be bad news for the Biden campaign. All right, Tim. Hey, thank you for the call. Appreciate it, my friend. 800-859-0957. Out to Chesterfield. And John, good morning, John.
Good morning. Hey, say if Nancy gets the money, the billions of dollars for the mail-in voting by President Trump.
3.5 billion in election resources to fortify the Postal Service for the election.
Yes, and say President Trump wins. Will she cry foul?
Of course.
And then we got the Postal Service. There's billions of dollars in debt. Is she going to keep throwing money at the Postal Service, or are they going to still keep operating like Blockbuster Video will win a Netflix world? That's all I got, guys.
All right, John. I appreciate it. Thank you, my friend. 800-859-0957. Yeah, of course. If Donald Trump wins again, heaven help us. My goodness. Yes, of course. Yes. Who will he have colluded with then? Yes, of course. Yeah. Yeah, I believe that will happen. If Donald Trump wins again, be ready for that. Donald Trump, voter suppression. Donald Trump colluded again. Although maybe it won't be the Russians this time. Maybe it'll be somebody else. Oh, yeah. You bet your dollar that's coming, if that's the case. I believe that. 800-859-0957. To Milford we go. And Fred, good morning, Frederick.
Fred's good. How are you?
You got it. What's going on, man?
I wanted to talk about the voter suppression. In Michigan, there's voter suppression, and there is no way you can say there isn't. And let me give you my facts. The three-panel federal court ruled that there was gerrymandering, and they therefore decided they're going to solve it by having elections advanced 2 years earlier than they would have been advanced, because as they said in their opinion, and they had smoking gun emails from the Republican Party, as they said in their opinion, there's no doubt there's gerrymandering, and even if more Democrats vote than Republicans for Democratic candidates, the Republicans are going to control the legislature, both houses. So that went up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, well, it's a political question, so we're not going to decide it. But we had the fallback, that anti-gerrymandering ballot initiative in 2018. It went on the ballot. But the Republicans challenged that and said it's unconstitutional. It went up to the Supreme Court of Michigan. And while Beth Clement, one of the Supreme Court justices, former teacher in Ann Arbor, was deliberating, certain Republican operatives approached her behind closed doors and twisted her arm and tried to get her to change her vote. The headline of the Detroit Free Press said, Beth Clement bullied by Republican operatives, and she said that's exactly what happened. To her credit, she upheld the ballot initiative on anti-gerrymandering. It went on the ballot, and then after it went on the ballot, the voters voted for it. But the Republican Party threatened to cut off her campaign funds in the middle of the election if she stayed with the opinion and let that ballot initiative stay on the ballot. Now, I'll ask any one of your viewers out there, your listeners, tell me that this is not voter suppression.
Okay, but Fred, then my question to you is very simple, really quick, and now I'm up against it. I'm sorry. Then how does Gretchen Whitmer get elected? How does Dana Nessel get elected?
Because that's not district control. That's the popular vote. It's two different things. The voter suppression is with the gerrymandered districts. That's different than the popular vote that elected Whitmer.
All right. Fair enough, Fred. I appreciate the call. Thank you. 800-859-0957, 800-859-0WJR. More on the Frank Beckmann Show coming up at 10:05. We'll talk to the Genesee County Sheriff, Chris Swanson. Big breakup. Basically, a 16-year-old was saved from a human trafficking ring. We'll get to that coming up next here on the Frank Beckmann Show. But first, to the roadways with Dana.
be dry initially on this Monday. Then a front may trigger an isolated shower thunderstorm this afternoon with a high of 82. Clearing will take place tonight with a low down to 60. And a sunny and cooler Tuesday with a high close to 77. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Jeff Maher on News Talk 760 WJR.
Our mission is protecting animals. We do this by keeping plastic out of our waterways and turning waste into power to preserve their habitat.
Hey, she can hear us.
All right, Chris.
All right, let's see.
By ensuring the animals in our care are thriving and providing sanctuary to by advocating for habitat.
I love to drive traveling on trips. You can see the scenery.
I absolutely
Hey, Dana's Jason.
hate driving on trips.
Do you?
Yes, I would rather fly than drive. I figure
Well, I hear you. I hear
if
that.
you're going on a trip and you got a week, and let's say it's going to take you 2 days to drive.
Yeah, like if you're going to Florida,
it's like half the trip gone.
right? No, I hear you. I hear. No, look,
get me on
I'm
a plane
not
and get
saying
me
that
there.
planes aren't the most effective way to travel. I'm just saying that I don't like being there. That's all.
Yeah, but there is nothing more frustrating on the planet to me than a traffic jam either.
No, I hear you on that.
It is the absolute worst.
Right.
You're stuck. There's nothing you can do. It's horrible. I also believe that all construction
You haven't heard anything at all.
on the roadways should be done at night,
Can you
just like they
hear
do in Las
anything right
Vegas.
now?
All road construction should be done at night, and all trucks should only be allowed to drive at night.
Did you hear Dick before?
Well, I mean, I guess I don't know. I don't know.
I don't have a license. Did you type that, Chris?
I didn't. No.
When he's
Yes, I do have a driver's license, of course. How am I getting to work? Come on.
Well, I know you've got a chauffeur.
I mean, come on. Oh yeah, it was chauffeur, right? No, but yeah, I mean, that all road construction should be done at night. All trucks should just drive at night. That way, we can just get to where we need to get to. We don't have the traffic jams. You know, that's been one. I guess, with the pandemic going on, the traffic's been lighter.
Well, that's true.
Okay, yeah. If it happens again, call me back. I'll try to figure something.
Have to learn the back roads, Dave. Yeah, I do know some of the back roads. Yes. But I'm just not a big fan of just driving on trips, and people are like, "Oh, the scenery is great. You can see the whole country." That does nothing for me.
Well, unless you're doing like a trip like that, right? I mean, like if that's the trip.
What kind of trip is that? That's so boring. Let's go just look at stuff around the country and just drive.
Yes.
What fun is that?
I mean, look. I mean, that is fun. If you're going to like, I don't know, if you're going to Florida,
yeah,
right? Maybe you want to stop off in Tennessee, head on over to Jack Daniels. I don't know. That's pretty cool.
Get on a plane.
Maybe you want to see the largest ball of band, like a bandana ball. I don't know, or a rubber band ball. I don't know. I'm just saying. Maybe you want to see that.
Maybe I want to get to where I need to get to for my vacation so I can have fun at my destination. Maybe I don't need to be.
Hey, I hear you. I hear you.
So your guest is on the line, by the way.
Okay, great.
So yeah, I mean, come on. It's a hop on the plane, get to where you need to get to. And I've been on, and I also have been, I've been on a private jet before. That is even better than flying commercial, obviously.
Well, of course, yeah.
So that's also fun. If I could just have a private jet and just fly around wherever I need to go, that's even better.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But I know there's a lot of people that like to take trips and drive around. There's a lot of people that have RVs and they like to go around. There's a lot of people that like to go and camp.
I have thought it would be cool to like rent an RV and then like hit a couple spots. I think that would be cool.
Or like cool.
Or like rent an RV like during football season.
Yeah.
And then like, go to, Kinnick Stadium and watch, drive the RV over, tailgate, watch a game, and then come back. Something like that. I think that would be awesome.
Right. Now, I would say this. It would be cool to maybe have an RV and follow like your favorite NFL team for a season. That'd be kind of cool.
Sure.
If you had a cool enough RV like the NASCAR drivers, their RVs are cool.
Oh God. Yeah.
I've been inside those before. Those are cool.
Yeah, those are really cool.
That's like $1.2 million and stuff,
Right.
So, yeah. But yeah, for sure. But I think we're coming back.
All right.
Dinner are included daily. For Pure Michigan package dates and reservations, visit grandhotel.com, grandhotel.com, or call 1-800-33-GRAND, 1-800-33-GRAND. Grand Hotel, America's summer place.
The Frank Beckmann Show, News Talk 760 WJR. Now, in for Frank, here's Chris Renwick.
Well, just a heartbreaking story out of Genesee County, but thankfully there are some good news to report from it. A 16-year-old was rescued from a barn in Montrose in an alleged human trafficking case and ring. Obviously, it's something that we have to pay a lot of attention to, especially in law enforcement, because it's something that's real and happening. And look, it's something that requires a lot of attention. Deputies at the Genesee County Sheriff's Department were split into 7 4-man teams that went out all over the county searching for 27 children. 7 of the children have been found, but obviously that still leaves 20 out there. And this 16-year-old, and just a heartbreaking story, was locked in this barn. And if you remember, Frank had Sheriff Chris Swanson on not long ago, and we talked about the amazing way that he handled protests in Flint. As not long after George Floyd was murdered, obviously protests were happening all over the country, and it was Chris Swanson who took an incredible approach in Flint and said, "Look, I'm with you guys. Let's walk it out," and that's what they did. So that's how. And if you remember, Frank had him on, and it was an incredible discussion, and we're happy to have Sheriff Chris Swanson back on the show. Good morning, Sheriff. How are you? Thank you for taking some time with us. We appreciate it.
Good Monday morning, my brother. Thank you so much. It's an honor.
So tell me a little bit about these teams that you sent out and looking for these children. It's a heartbreaking story that you have to even send your deputies out and special units out for something like this, but it's something very real, and you were able to recover a few children, but I know there's still some out there.
Right. Let me tee it up before, and I'll be brief. About 4 years ago, I started doing operations with Operation Underground Railroad. We did an aftercare op in Mexico. We did another operation in Haiti, and it was at that operation I came back from Haiti, and I thought, why are we not doing this here in our county? So that's where GHOST came from, Genesee Human Oppression Strike Team. And since then, in 2018-19, of course, now, we've done multiple sting operations where I have chatters that lure people in with the cooperation of the prosecutor's office in order to come to have sex with 15, 14, and 13-year-old children. Since then, we've arrested 74 individuals from all over the state, all walks of life, because those are the customers. We also do rescue operations, which is the one you speak of. Rescue operations involve kids that have fallen through the cracks. 17 and under, kids from juvenile court, Department of Health and Human Services, the local school districts, kids that are forgotten, the most vulnerable population, because that's where traffickers focus. Those that could be psychologically manipulated those that are vulnerable, that have broken homes, that have nothing, that's how they find them. So this is our third rescue, and we had 27 children that you talked about. We found 7. We're actively working to find the other 20. The majority of these kids, they're doing fine. They have to do some follow-up with their cases. We do a physical examination. We recognize where they are. We make sure their surroundings are safe. But then that little 16-year-old girl, the father knew where she was. We tracked her down. Her 21-year-old boyfriend was very aggressive when we walked on scene, and we found her. The barn was locked. She was in a fenced-in back part of the barn that had barbed wire over top. Her eyes was big as saucers. I'm not trying to be melodramatic. I'm just being real. And she was immediately taken into soft custody and relaxed, and told her that she's safe. She was sent to a physical examination and a psychological forensic examination, and we're actively working the case. He's in custody.
It just kind of walk me through in this particular case. I mean, is there some trepidation by the victim here? In this case, a 16-year-old girl. Is she worried that this is not real? I mean, is there cooperation? I mean, obviously, it's a very tormenting atmosphere and thought and situation that they find themselves in. Does it make the rescue difficult?
It doesn't. It does in one way, because you're dealing with a victim who's psychologically wounded, vulnerable. They are immature when it comes to, I mean, you and I are talking as mature adults who have experience in life. These boys and girls do not have that. Their innocence has been stolen. We did another operation back in April where 3 little girls from Detroit, 15 and 2 14-year-olds, they'd been pimped out since January over 400 times. And their pimp was taking them from Kalamazoo to Lansing to Toledo to Detroit to Flint. And we found them in Flint. All 3 of them had sexually transmitted diseases, and they were just so fearful and scared. We brought them in. We kept them safe. We have great professionals that intervene. We gave them big, gigantic teddy bears to hold on to. And I'm telling you, in an instant, they recovered their innocence and they started talking. So, yeah, I mean, they're very vulnerable and they're scared, but they're kids thrown into an adult situation, and it's not fair to them.
My goodness. It's absolutely heartbreaking. And you talked about getting this basically this program idea and the way that you run your operations from your experiences both overseas and on different parts of the continent, like in Mexico. So what was it that you took back to Genesee County? What are some of the I don't want you to give away tactics, but I mean, what was it that made you think, well, we got to be doing this here?
Well, there's 25 million slaves around the world, both labor and sex slaves, children, adults, people that are gone against their will. And that doesn't just stop at the borders. And when I saw what happened, like in my operation in Haiti, these are young kids that are being pimped out by people. And the customer, and this is all stats, you can go to the Polaris Project, you can go to OUR, you can see it all. The average customer is the American and European male. So we go to those countries as the customers, we rescue the kids in an operation, and then now they're freed, and those that trafficked are under arrest. And so that same thing could happen here. So we reversed it. We become the ones that are advertising, and those customers come to us. And it's not anything that is unique to Genesee County. And I hate to say this because I know your listeners want hope in the morning, but this is a real deal. It's across the nation. It's around the world. So policing, in light of everything that's happened most recently, we still have to stay the course. And the 7 girls that we found were one of multiple operations we've done since March 12th this year, even during COVID. We arrested 2 people coming to have sex with kids in March. We arrested 7 more in Davison in June. We arrested 3 last Monday. We arrested 3 more on Thursday and 2 more last Friday. And all of them are in nice suburban areas. They were from other areas of the county and out county. So it's real. You have to go out there and proactively find where these folks are and bring them to you, because one individual arrested and on a list and taken off the street saves the victims 25 deep in the future. 25 future victims are saved by taking one predator off the street.
Well, look, I wish you expediency in finding these evil. I don't even know if they're people. And expediency in finding these victims, many of which are children. Sheriff, best to you, and keep us up to date on this, will you?
Thank you for using your platform. God bless you, brother.
Yep, you got it. Chris Swanson, the sheriff at Genesee County. A lot of good work happening to save children and victims of sex trafficking and getting these terrible people off our streets. Very important work. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. 800-859-0957, 800-859-0WJR. More on the Frank Beckmann Show coming up. But first, off to the roadways with our Dana Clark.
This report is sponsored by the podcast Why I'm Voting.
Have you ever wondered if Will Ferrell likes to wear his I voted sticker?
I'll even wear it until the next day.
Or what makes Stephanie Ruhle so passionate about voting?
It's about what kind of country, what kind of world do you want to live in?
Listen to Why I'm Voting wherever you get your podcasts.
Earlier accident still working to clear along 75 northbound right before 696. That accident near 10 Mile is blocking the right lane, seeing delays from at least 9 Mile. Midday construction lodge northbound between 9 Mile and Evergreen. Your left 2 lanes are closed until 3 p.m. today. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by the Generous Pour event at the Capitol Grill. WJR wine lovers, our friends at the Capitol Grill, are excited to announce this year's Generous Pour. For just $28 with dinner, you'll enjoy 7 remarkable varietals from Orrin Swift winemaker Dave Finney, wine enthusiast, winemaker of the year. Call 248-649-5300 or visit thecapitolgrill.com.
After a dry start to this Monday, a front may trigger an isolated shower thunderstorm this afternoon with a high of 82, then clearing tonight, the low down to 60, and it will be a sunny Tuesday tomorrow with a high reaching 77. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Jeff Maher on News Talk 760 WJR.
Imagine if you...
All right.
Chris, you got the message about the callers who are on the line for you?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Yep, thank you.
Nice job with Sheriff Swanson. What a great guy.
Yeah, good guy. There's no doubt about that. And look, it's a tough situation to be in. There's no doubt about that. No doubt about that. All right.
So will you be watching? How much of the virtual Democratic National Convention will you be watching tonight?
Oh, I'm gonna pop some popcorn and get my my hot tamales ready, and oh yeah, I'm gonna buckle in. It's gonna be great.
Governor of Michigan's going to be talking.
Yes, Governor Gretchen Whitmer will be speaking today.
Yes. So that'll give us a lot of good stuff for tomorrow.
Yeah, I would assume so. I assume we'll be able to talk about it.
There you go.
Ken Brown is commenting. That's not good.
What did KB say?
I don't know that we need Ken Brown commenting.
Restore Wellness Center. What do you need restored? This is good news. Maybe exactly when you need it to. Right now, MediShare is waiving their new member fees. This could save you money on top of all that you'll save each month by becoming a member of MediShare. So many people are looking for a healthcare solution right now, seeing the cost of COBRA plans, for instance, and MediShare is the affordable alternative.
All right. Let's see here.
$500 a month, but you might save even more. MediShare is a Christian community that shares each other's healthcare costs, and because of
So what other great questions do you have for me today, Dave?
I always have lots of interesting questions always for you, Chris. What's the last good book that you read?
So I'm a big music guy, like autobiographies. I loved Anthony Kiedis's book, Scar Tissue.
And he's from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah, he's the lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. He was born in Grand Rapids.
So the drummer for Red Hot Chili Peppers. He's also from Michigan, right?
Yeah, he's from like oh boy, I'd have to look up, but he's from like Metro Detroit.
Yeah. All right, we're coming back.
Yep.
Now in for Frank. Here's Chris Renwick.
800-859-0957. 800-859-0WJR, the number for you to call or text. Lots to talk about today, but I know you guys are on the line, so we'll get right to you right after I read you a few texts. You can text 800-859-0957 as well. Give it up, Chris. Don't ask for reasonableness and fairness from Democrats. They view these concepts as non-productive and their case to their cause, as well as examples of white privilege and white supremacy. How Dana Nessel and Gretchen Whitmer keep getting elected, it's because they want straight ticket voting. 4 ways Republicans cheat in elections. You must be an American citizen. You must have ID proving who you are. You must be alive, and you can only vote once. Terrible, terrible Republicans. All right, let's go back to the phones. Let's go to John in Eau Gras. Good morning, John. Hey, John. All right. I'll tell you what. Why don't we go to Doug in Harrison Township? Good morning, Doug. All right. We're having a little issue here. All right. So let me tell you this. Another interesting part in all of this, right, is now Nancy Pelosi is calling back members of Capitol Hill to consider USPS legislation, and they're calling calls for the post office to be election central, Nancy Pelosi says. Nancy Pelosi says the post office has become election central due to the coronavirus pandemic, even as President Donald Trump and Republicans have warned for months that universal mail-in ballots would cause widespread voter fraud in the election. Alarmingly, across the nation, we see devastating effects of the president's campaign to sabotage the election by manipulating the postal service to disenfranchise voters, Pelosi says. And of course, playing the game that Donald Trump said, look, you guys left. We were here at the negotiating table and you left. So what do you want? What do you want me to do? And of course, he's going to use that $3.5 billion to get him back to the negotiating table, which is probably rightfully so. I would expect that the post office gets that money. But you can't just send everybody off and have your cake and eat it too. It's not how it works. Let's go to Ron in Roseville. Good morning, Ron. Hey, Ron.
Very, very discouraging with these so-called experts on coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to, I can't remember what show it was last Friday,
mm-hmm.
and they had a professor from some university, and they had run tests, and they were getting 40% false positive testing. And this doctor was just on and said it was minor. It reminds me of Faulty when he said, well, masks won't help you. Now, I mean, people don't really stop and think about that. You know, doctors, nurses have been using them for years to keep from infecting surgery patients. And the guy, to me, is just, he talks off the top of his head.
Well, and Ron, and when I had talked to Dr. Matthew Sims a little bit ago, you know, we had talked about the problems with that is if you go get tested and let's say you test positive, you get sent home. I mean, you get sent home to quarantine for 2 weeks. There aren't many situations where the general public is being tested multiple times. And so it's really hard to know whether or not there are false positives or false negatives, unless you're being tested, you know, every other day or every day.
Yeah. Well, somehow the professor had it set up to where they they were keeping track, you know.
Well, sure. And I think in certain studies, you can probably do that. But like most people, if you just go get tested, like if you roll through Beaumont and get tested, you're going to, and you're going to go home. They're going to tell you to quarantine for a couple days. You'll get your results and they'll say, yep, you're positive. So stay home for 2 weeks. And so you'll stay home for 2 weeks. Maybe you'll have minor symptoms, which apparently 80% of people do. Or maybe you won't have any symptoms at all, but you were maybe exposed to somebody who did. But you'll still test positive, so you'll go home and quarantine. You'll feel fine for the most part. But they won't tell you to come back and retest. One, because they don't have the tests. They don't have the quantity of tests that would be needed for that. And two, it's just easier for them to tell you to go home and quarantine. So it's really hard to get an accurate number based on the general public because we just don't have the resources for it. Ron, thank you for the call. Appreciate it. 800-859-0957. Let's go to Larry in Livonia. Good morning, Larry.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Sure.
This will be quick because it's this part of the first part is an opinion. I know and I'm writing a book about it, the depths and how the deep state works. And I'll tell you right by personal knowledge that how can I put it? So I can't, there's names I can't say. There's going to be a shortage of money in the police departments because of the excuse for the defunding the police.
Mm-hmm.
The deep state is so deep into sex trafficking, they live by it. Epstein is a perfect example of it.
Sure.
And when you have a shortage of money in the police departments, whose budgets are they going to cut? The ones that are out on the barricades safeguarding your houses, or special committees that are out there rescuing children?
Well, that's a very good point. When you talk about defunding police departments, where do those resources go? I mean, something's got to give. I mean, you look at what's happening in Seattle or New York or LA, where they're cutting millions and millions and millions of dollars from these police departments.
Yeah.
Something's got to give. I mean, it's not like
there's going to be a shortage of money for these special committees in police departments. They're going to cut the ones who go out there on sex trafficking, and what are they going to find? Oh, a bunch of congressmen, senators, people in the government levels, chiefs of police out there trafficking.
Well, Larry, I appreciate the call. I'm up against it. It's an interesting theory. But whether they cut that program or whether they have less officers just road patrol, something is going to have to give. I hope that wouldn't be where they would make those cuts. But at some point, look, these people are working for free. And a lot of those situations, those are some of the most dangerous situations out there. So that's a good point, Larry. Thank you. 800-859-0957, 800-859-0WJR. More to come here on the Frank Beckmann Show. But first, we got to go out to the roadways and get an update there with our Dana Clark.
This report is sponsored by the podcast Why I'm Voting. The Why I'm Voting podcast features stories from Will Ferrell, Billie Eilish, Darius Rucker, John Legend, and more about why showing up to the ballot box means so much, not just as individuals, but for our entire nation. Listen to Why I'm Voting wherever you get your podcasts.
Earlier accident along the lodge. That one is out of your way. Still trying to clear that earlier wreck along 75 northbound right before 696. That accident near 10 Mile, blocking the right lane. Traffic is slow from 9 Mile. Now, WJR weather first from the Weather Channel. Expecting it to be cloudy and sunshine mixed today. Also could see a scattered shower or thunderstorm this afternoon. A high of 81 tonight. Clear skies, low 60. Some sun and clouds on Tuesday and a high of 77. Partly cloudy skies, 73 degrees. I'm Dana Clark, WJR News, with Dick Hafner in about 2 minutes.
It could be a routine drive to pick up or an epic road trip across the country.
Todd, Pelosi has used the House to take down the Bill of Rights and the Constitution for almost 4 years. 1,000-page bill to crush the cash flow to QE quarter 1 through 4. Print to break the bank.
As we were talking before, Chris, about the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So I have a friend who is related by marriage to the drummer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, he says he's a pretty cool guy.
My stepdad's brother-in-law, who actually passed, was a guitarist, and when when their original guitarist Hillel died, they had auditions, and he went and tried out and basically made the band.
Really?
Told them that he was in, but he had such crippling stage fright that, I mean, and if you've ever seen a Chili Pepper show, they're crazy. I mean, they're just high energy, and there isn't a whole lot of, it's really hard. It would be really hard to be in that band and have stage fright. So he just basically couldn't do it. But he essentially made the band, and then they go and they hire John Frusciante, who worked out pretty well. But yeah, the great band. And that book is an incredible book. I mean, all of his stories from growing up in Grand Rapids, in the Grand Rapids area, and then moving out to California and kind of living that whole rock star life. It's an insane story. And you just go, how are you still here? I mean, what the heck happened? So,
I think the Chili Peppers played at a Super Bowl halftime recently. I think they weren't the main act. They were
they were like the accompaniment. It was a few years ago now.
I want to say they were with Bruno Mars, if I remember correctly. And I think
that might be right. Yeah,
they did a really good job. Unfortunately, it was a terrible Super Bowl. Unfortunately, but
that was the one where the Broncos got housed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but it was
that was fun.
But not really. But 2 years later, they got their revenge. Anyway, I digress. Anyway, they a good show put on by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I think if you had to go through the all-time greatest Super Bowl halftimes, I like Bruce Springsteen, Prince, yeah, Bruce Springsteen did a great Super Bowl halftime show.
Very stony.
He really did.
That was the year after I think they had to go to the more conservative.
I don't know.
Can I say something that's probably a little controversial?
Yeah, sure.
I believe Bruce Springsteen is one of the most overrated musicians of all time.
I could see that.
I mean, as a songwriter, he's good.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. They're good musicians. E Street Band, it's a fantastic group of musicians.
Yeah.
Here's another one for you.
Oh, Danielle Mason chiming in.
Here's another one for you. Ready for this one?
Yeah.
I'll get killed on this one too. As a songwriter,
yeah,
probably one of the best.
Okay. I think
as a performer and musician,
yeah,
I find Bob Dylan.
100%. I'm with you.
Just be,
he's horrible. It's horrible.
Excellent poet, great writer.
And you want to know who else you can throw in with Bob Dylan as being god awful? Grateful Dead. Horrible.
Oh, I don't get the Grateful Dead. I mean, look, I don't know. I mean, I've never understood that. I mean,
yes, 100%.
Garcia was another really good musician.
Yeah.
Together, okay.
Yes.
And the legions of people that they have, the fans, it's insanity.
I know. My brother used to live in the Haight-Ashbury area in San Francisco. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, to each your own. God bless. It's not my cup of tea.
I agree with you. Bob Dylan, Grateful Dead, Fish. You can throw them in there too. Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah,
not my thing.
Yeah, no, not my thing either.
But it's all very, subjective. But yeah, I agree. So, all right. Well, then we have. Well, we already know what you're. We already know that you're a metal guy. So
I'm a metal guy, but I mean, like for me, like the pantheon of like it's the Beatles, it's Zeppelin,
yeah,
AC/DC,
right?
Like those are.
What did you think of?
Black Sabbath.
All right.
Yeah, that's what I'm into
for this question. But so greatest living American rock band right now?
Greatest American living rock band
right now.
Well, Nickelback's off the list because they're Canadian. Oh boy, I don't know.
We got to go Aerosmith.
I don't know about that. I mean,
you could say the Eagles, but they're not the complete Eagles anymore.
Right. Huh. That's an interesting one.
Yeah. I think you think you almost have to go Aerosmith.
I don't know that I'd go Aerosmith.
Yeah.
Let me think about that one.
All right. We're still waiting for your guest, by the way.
Boy, that's tough.
Yeah, it's a tough question.
I mean, yeah, maybe it is Aerosmith.
I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it is.
I don't know of any other one right now. I mean,
living.
So
Tad's a good one. Metallica, that's a good one. Mm-hmm.
Foo Fighters.
No.
No.
Good, but no.
Bon Jovi.
No.
No. We're talking. Jason's in here just going nuts.
No.
We're talking about American rock bands. There, Jason.
Oh, American rock.
American living American rock bands.
I don't know.
All right, we're coming back here. We still don't have the guest, so.
Okay.
And to The Rich Paul Show, Saturdays at 9 a.m., Mondays at 7 p.m.
The Frank Beckman Show, News Talk 760 WJR. Now in for Frank, here's Chris Renwick.
All right, so here's something that I want to do here, and I'm gonna need you. I'm gonna need your involvement here, because I wanna be like the ticket window at a casino, right? I want you to place your bets. I want you to tell me what you think you're gonna hear tonight. What you think you're gonna hear during this this Democrat National Convention, right? Starts tonight. And it's look, I think we all kind of know what's going to be said, right? Donald Trump is evil and we need to get him out of there. But what are they going to say specifically, right? What are they actually going to say? Are they going to talk about schools and not putting children back in schools yet? What's the one thing overall that you think that you're going to hear more than anything? Probably a safe bet would be COVID and how the Democrats have handled COVID-19. I think another good bet is now going to be with all of this going on about mail-in voting and the president's decision about the funding the post office. I think you'll hear a lot about that. So I just want to know what you think is going to be. I want you to tap into the DNC. Don't take the information, but just tap in. And if you're creating the rundown of what is going to be said, give me the talking points. What's number one? What do you think you're going to hear? 800-859-0957, 800-859-0WJR, the number for you to call or text. But first, I want to bring in Jim Roop, the one of our news correspondents for Westwood One, who's in Milwaukee to cover this virtual event. And Jim, I'll ask you, what's the number one bullet point that you think we're going to hear tonight overall?
I think you're going to just hear, as you said, how evil Donald Trump is. That's pretty much been the rally cry from the very beginning. That we can't handle another 4 years of Donald Trump. The ends don't justify the means, so on and so forth. That's what you're going to hear. If the Democrats were smart, however, because they're preaching to the choir, right? Everybody, most Democrats agree with that philosophy.
or with that theory. If they were smart, they would start getting a little bit of substance going, because if they're, and Republicans will tune in to see if this thing's going to be a flop or not. They're going to tune in to hear what John Kasich has to say, not just the fact that he's backing Joe Biden, but what's the reason behind it, right? I mean, really tell us, other than the fact that you don't think Donald Trump's a good guy, give us the reason why you're not changing parties, but you're changing parties. So Republicans will tune in for that. If the Democrats were smart, they would talk politics. They would talk about things that the party can do instead of how evil Donald Trump is, because it's just going to go in one ear out the other.
Well, I think obviously like I said, we're going to hear a lot about COVID. We're going to hear a lot about sending kids back to school. We're going to hear a lot about mail-in voting in the post office. And now we've got a report out of Politico today that said basically Obama is telling people behind closed doors, don't be surprised if Joe bleeps this thing up. And I think that casts a pall a little bit over the Biden campaign and his possible presidency, but they're not going to focus on that. But I guess what I'm most interested in is what actually the focus is. I think obviously they're going to talk a lot of, and you talked about policy. I wonder how much they're going to stay away from things like Medicare for all. And things that are more maybe on the fringe of the left, and focus more on like the immediate needs of what the American people are going through.
Well, you have Bernie Sanders speaking tonight, so Medicare for all is definitely going to be in there. I don't think they're going to shy away from anything that the Democratic Party has been talking about since 2016. I don't think that's going to change much at all tonight. I just don't know how left they're going to go with it all, especially with Bernie Sanders. I think Amy Klobuchar is probably will bring things back to the center a little bit, but Bernie Sanders comes on before Michelle Obama. As we understand it, we don't know exactly the time frame for everything. We know the lineup of speakers, and we can guess in what order they're going to be presented, but we don't know exactly how much time each one has. So we don't know that. But I think we're going to hear a lot of the same things the Democrats have been talking about for 4 years.
Our governor, Gretchen Whitmer, has become a much more national figure. And I think here in Michigan and we, the press here, have seen a lot of change in that, just based on, press releases that she sends out and her appearances on a lot of national stations and things of that ilk. When she gave the response to the president's State of the Union back earlier this year, she kind of you heard a lot about her talking about roads and kind of the way that she's handled Michigan, but on a more national level, obviously. She's scheduled to talk tonight as well. I'm wondering what we're going to hear from her, and I think we're going to hear a much more national perspective from her, and perhaps how she's handled the coronavirus here in Michigan.
Well, you tell me. Has she done a good job in Michigan with the coronavirus?
Well, I'll tell you, in my aspect, I think the first month she did a pretty good job. I think ever since, it's become a lot more political. For example, and Jim, I'll just throw this out there. I'm not sure you know, but she signed more executive orders than Illinois, Wisconsin, Ohio, and Indiana combined. And since she was sworn into office, over a fourth of her time in office as governor had been spent under a state of emergency using unilateral control. So some people will say, yes, it's needed, but others will say, look, it's an abuse of power and our numbers don't justify it.
Well, I think she would do a disservice to herself and the party if she talked all about herself and what she has done. I think she needs to talk about what the Democratic Party in general means and does and considers when under crises like COVID-19.
Interesting stuff, Jim. Thanks for keeping us in the loop, and perhaps we'll check back in with you tomorrow and get some more thoughts on this. Thank you very much.
You got it. Thank you.
All right, there he is, Jim, out at Westwood One, out in Milwaukee for the DNC convention, which starts tonight, and we'll keep an eye on that for you as well. 800-859-0957. Off to the roadways we go with Dana Clark.
This report is sponsored by the podcast Why I'm Voting. The Why I'm Voting podcast features stories from Will Ferrell, Billie Eilish, Darius Rucker, John Legend, and more about why showing up to the ballot box means so much, not just as individuals, but for our entire nation. Listen to Why I'm Voting wherever you get your podcasts.
Still working to clear an earlier accident that is there along the 75 northbound right before 696. That accident near 10 Mile is blocking the right lane, seeing delays from at least 8 Mile. Slow moving maintenance vehicle in the way 94 eastbound between Linwood and 8 Mile. It has the right lane closed. That's midday construction scheduled until 11:30 this morning. Now WJR weather first from the Weather Channel.
It'll be dry initially on this Monday, then a mix of clouds and sun for the afternoon with a slight chance for a shower thunderstorm along the front as the high hits 82. Clearing will take place tonight with a low 60. Sunny tomorrow, the high near 77. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Jeff Maher on News Talk 760 WJR.
If we're
Okay, Chris, have you figured out that band yet?
No, and I see here on our talk, Ron says you should reconsider Foo Fighters. And look, they're a good band, and I think Dave Grohl. And look, I think Dave Grohl coming out of Nirvana, was by far the most talented musician. Talk about overrated musicians. Kurt Cobain was an overrated musician. Dude was just nuts. He wasn't a good musician at all. But Dave Grohl is a terrific musician, and the Foo Fighters are a very good band. But the greatest American band, I don't buy that.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough question because also music's changed. I mean, you don't have that many more. You don't have that many rock bands anymore. Classic rock bands like you used to have.
No, but like the Eagles are good. Metallica's probably the best.
Metallica's good. Yeah. Except if you're in the camp that they sold out. So.
Okay.
Just depend.
Yeah.
I personally don't think they did, but
no. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. Somebody on here also said Boston.
Yeah. How many original members of Boston are
Motley
left?
Crue is good too.
Yeah, they don't really perform much anymore, though, do they?
Well, yeah, they're back out. They're gonna go back out. They got another tour coming up. They retired, and then they put it back out there. Rolling Stones aren't an American band, unfortunately.
Yep.
Garbage. No, Jim, come on now. Isn't that Courtney Love's band? What was it?
I think something like that.
No. What band was she in? Hole? Was she in Hole?
Hole.
Is that okay? All right. So Todd says to my question about what's the number one talking point going to be at the convention, which starts tonight, how racist and unfair America is. The world hates us. Yada yada. They need to talk about what good the Democrats have done, which is nothing. Jim says. Todd agrees. Lonnie says, nope, they'll go with BLM, Black Lives Matter, at least 95%. Dems are the ultimate pandering organization. Gretchen will tell the whole country, if you're white, your parents did the worst job they knew how to do. Oh, Maria says Kiss. That's a good one, Maria. That's a good one. That could be it.
Kiss is a good one.
Kiss is it. That's a good one, Maria.
Another band that has had how many retirements, final tours?
Right?
You got to give Gene Simmons credit for all of the money that he makes marketing the band.
A number of years ago, in a former radio life, I was an intern at a station, and I won tickets at our Christmas party to go see Kiss at Kobo when they came back.
Oh, Kobo.
This would have been like 10 years ago. Yeah, 10 years ago.
Kobo.
And they played Kiss Alive. They played the whole album because it was recorded in Detroit,
Yeah.
And they recorded at Kobo, and it was the last time they were playing Kobo. And it was a spectacular show. A spectacular show. And a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun at that Kiss show.
All right, come on back.
Speaking of show, News Talk 760 WJR. Now in for Frank. Here's Chris Renwick.
All right, welcome back. So A very simple question. What's going to be the most talked about topic at the DNC convention that starts tonight? What is it? Is it COVID? Is it race relations in America? Is it schools? Is it just that Donald Trump's a bad guy and we need to get him out of office? That's what I'm asking. If you had $10 to put down, what would it be? You're going to Greektown and you're walking up to the window and you need to place a bet. What bet do you feel most comfortable with? 800-859-0957, 800-859-0WJR, the number for you to call or text. And I want to get a couple texts in here. Got to get caught up. The virus will be the main topic. Everything else is an offshoot of that. Without the virus, there would be no conversation about USPS funding, which no one cared about before the election, emergency funding, PPE, etc. That's from Rick in Oak Park. Good morning, Chris. I think the major thing you'll hear is how incompetent President Trump has been with the coronavirus and how he caused it. I find it upsetting and disappointing that this is the desperate the Democratic Party is to try to win that top seat. Chris, 80% post office. It's the latest lie. The previous lie failed, so they moved to whatever they can scream about. Greg from Troy. So, what do you think it is? 800-859-0957, 800-859-0WJR. Let's go to Janice in Lincoln Park. Good morning, Janice.
Good morning.
What can I do for you?
Well, you were talking about the convention tonight for
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Well, their main thing is to blame Trump for everything. They have no excuses for what they did for the last 4 years because they did not do anything for the American citizens. All they did was spend our money on the Mueller investigation and the Kavanaugh and the impeachment, and all they did was obstruct, and I can't see where they did anything. Where Trump, on the other hand, has been very active, even fighting against the obstruction, and he has done a great deal for our great country.
Interesting. So you just don't think there's any policy to talk about? You don't think that they're going to try to paint a rosy picture for the future, the next 4 years, and talk about all the great things they'll do? You think they're just going to spend time? They're going to spend time on the hot button issues,
right? Probably the COVID, because they blame him for bringing the virus. But as far as I see it, the only thing they won't talk about is socialism and raising taxes and all the bad things they intend to do to our country. And I think they are all anti-American. They don't see that Biden is not all that bright. And Kamala Harris she's going to be the president. She'll tell him what to do.
All right, Janice, thank you for the call. Appreciate it. 800-859-0957. Let's go to Steve in Highland. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Chris. Hey, Chris, I think we're going to hear a lot about the post office as far as the delays. But I think as far as the post office, the thing that we're not going to hear is what the big problem was with mail-in and absentee voting as far as fraud. And my thinking is, if we instituted a thumbprint on the mail-in and absentee ballots, like you used to have to do some places for cashing a check, most people have a thumb. Maybe not everybody, but most people have a thumb, and we can run that stuff against those fingerprints against the FBI database or add to the database.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, look, I agree. I think the post office issue is going to be probably the number one issue, because I think when you talk about the election specifically and many states pushing a voter by mail system, and now you've got the president going, look, I'm not going to give money until Nancy Pelosi and company come back to the table with me and talk about how we can provide some relief to the American people and make some concessions, by the way. I think that's the drum that they beat. I think you're right, Steve.
Yeah, and I agree with you. You know, they're they're very eager to get back to Washington to take care of the post office situation. But, the fact that, people can't, pay the rent and that sort of thing, they're oblivious to that.
Yep, no doubt. All right, Steve, thank you for the call. Appreciate it, my friend. 800-859-0957. To Detroit and Kevin we go. Kevin, good morning to you.
Well, Sioux City is the beach. I'm going to go over the hard because I don't care if it's about $100 drive to pay off those expenses. That's just, and what else are you going to do? Well, I'm going to go find wild women, and you're freaking apart, and then you get wild sex.
All right, Kev, we got a bad connection, I think. We lost Kev. All right, let's go to Charlene in Troy. Good morning, Charlene.
Hey, good morning.
Hey.
Well, the Democrats don't care about the American people. This is all about running up the debt, the Cloward-Piven strategy, pile on the government all the impossible monetary demands to force it into economic collapse. Never let a crisis go to waste. So they're using this crisis to just pile on the debt to try to force it into economic collapse. This is what this is all about. They don't care about the people. They would be doing something. She just spends money on junk, just like with the when Obama got in office, and they had that $1 trillion stimulus, and then they were going to do the infrastructure, and then I saw Obama and Biden on TV laughing that only 3% of the $1 trillion was spent on infrastructure. They were laughing. They thought it was funny. When are people going to wake up about these Democrats?
All right, so what's the number one talking point tonight, Charlene?
Trump is evil. Trump is bad. If you elect Trump, he'll make you sad.
Well, if they use that, I'd be impressive. I'd be impressed that you already have that down. But yeah, no, I think that's probably a safe bet as well. I think it's probably a safe bet. Charlene, thank you for the call. Appreciate it. 800-859-0957, 800-859-0WJR. The number for you to call or text. I want to catch you up on a couple text messages here. Never met a Democrat that was not a bobblehead for CNN, MSNBC, or The View. Bob in St. Clair Shore says, Chris, this election is going to show just how dumb the American people are. How can Governor Whitmer explain the double standard? She's leaving it up to each school district to determine their back-to-school plan, but President Trump should have a countrywide policy in place. Interesting point. They'll talk about Joe Biden being competent and that he knows his own name. Just as guys, don't worry. He's got this. A quick pan over to Joe. What is your name? I like that. 800-859-0957. Real quick to Franklin and Chuck. Good morning, Chuck.
Hi, Chris.
Hey.
Just a moment ago, you were talking about how the Democrats left town rather than negotiating a bill to boost unemployment insurance, right?
That was part of the negotiation, yes.
Well, they passed their bill back in July, and then waited 2 months for Republicans or the Trump White House to do anything about it, answer it, negotiate it. I mean, we're here in the 24th hour because of that failure, not because the Democrats didn't pass something in the House.
No, of course they passed something in the House, but there was no give and take. This is about give and take, and there was none of that. There was no movement from $600 a week in unemployment assistance. There was no movement in that, and that's where the problem is.
No, there was nothing. There was nothing proposed by the Republicans until we were well into August.
But it's not. This isn't unique that the House will pass a bill and then the Senate will pass a bill and they'll get together and go, all right, let's figure this thing out. That's not unusual, and there was none of that. I don't disagree with you there. But to put it on one party or another, I don't know is factually true. But while the president is holding up this money, this $3.5 million, there is no, I mean, Nancy Pelosi wants her bill and wants the president to put this money up. I just don't think that's right. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Hey, Chuck, I got to go. I'm up against it. I apologize. We'll get some more of your calls coming up next, 800-859-0957. But first we go to Dana Clark.
This report is sponsored by the podcast Why I'm Voting. The Why I'm Voting podcast features stories from Will Ferrell, Billie Eilish, Darius Rucker, John Legend, and more about why showing up to the ballot box means so much, not just as individuals, but for our entire nation. Listen to Why I'm Voting wherever you get your podcasts.
75 northbound right before 696 at accident near 10 Mile, blocking the right lane, now slow from 7 Mile. Now WJR weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Gordon Chevrolet, where not only do you pick your payment, you now pick your program. Need to pull ahead your lease? Do you need GM employee pricing or a low payment with zero interest? Let Gordon Chevrolet help you find it on Ford Road, just west of Merriman in Garden City, GordonChevrolet.com. Gordon Chevrolet, find new roads. Some clouds, some sun today. Could see an afternoon thunderstorm. A high of 81 tonight. Clear skies, low 60. Partly cloudy, 73 degrees. I'm Dana Clark, WJR News with Dick Hafner in about 1 minute.
Michigan Economic Development Corporation is committed to helping businesses in our state during the COVID-19 pandemic and beyond. If you own a business, MEDC has dedicated programs available to you now. These include small business support, access to capital, entrepreneur resources, and buyer and supplier matchmaking. Find support today at michiganbusiness.org/pure.
All right, here. Let's see. Let's get caught up.
All right, so I'm going to be typing in some information for you here. You got a full bank of calls now. So.
Okay, great. Clay says, I would put down on the fact that they're going to talk about how bad Donald Trump is, and they're not going to offer any solutions that are legitimate. Interesting.
Unemployment might be something they might talk about.
Sure.
Gets underway today. It'll be remote control. Correspondent Jessica Dean in Delaware, where Joe Biden will accept the nomination on Thursday night.
Because that's a big topic.
Yeah, absolutely.
And safe as they also try to rev up the Democratic Party and build support around Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
Governor Whitmer will speak. She'll be the fourth listed speaker at tonight's events starting at 9 p.m. President Trump
might be a late night for you tonight, Chris.
Efforts to implement changes.
Every night's a late night.
The president tells the Fox News advocates that he only wanted to make the Postal Service great again.
All right, you're all updated with your callers now.
All right, thank you.
Think of it, over the last 10, 12 years, something like that. 78 million with a B, million. And we're making it so it is going to be good. And we're going to take care of our postal workers above all.
Good news for people who don't want to take a nasal swab test for coronavirus, where they go way up into your nose. It's very uncomfortable, according to people who've had it. Here's the story from John Lawrence.
The FDA grants emergency authorization to a saliva test for COVID-19. It will take weeks.
We got everybody talking about what they think the main topic is going to be.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about that. A lot of people talk about the post office. A lot of people talking about the unemployment. A lot of people talking about what's going to happen tonight.
Okay.
It's not under control yet over most of the United States, I'm afraid. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
The Michigan House is expected to pass a compromise plan for schools that provides more school aid and gives districts the option of in-person classes or virtual learning. Teachers would be required to interface with students two ways.
I think this is a good bill that the Senate put out. I think this is right. I think that's the right thing to do.
Assessment would be required within 9 weeks of the start of school. Senate Republican leader Mike Shirkey says
just updating your callers here.
to reevaluate their plan every month.
We're required to really review what's actually happening on a monthly basis and their delivery model. And I fully expect.
Do we think that there'll be any technical glitches tonight?
Maybe.
Every month. And,
But I would imagine that they've been working on this. I mean, I would think that they'll probably be good to go.
Remember when they had the NFL draft and it was virtual and everybody was worried about the potential issues they were going to have? So I'm wondering if they're worried about the same thing here at the Democratic National Convention.
Yeah, but I mean, I think for the most part,
The search continues after.
I mean, I think for the most part, they're going to be.
River last night near Rosio.
Yeah.
7
They're going to be ready to go.
out of the water, but 2 are still
I'd agree.
missing. 17 people were arrested in stings by law enforcement in Genesee County.
But time will
They were
tell.
expecting to assault children ages 13 to 15. They showed up. Instead, they were arrested. On Wall Street, the Dow and the S&P are up sharply. I'm Dave Hayford, WJR News. More coming up with Chris Renwick.
Hiring can be challenging, but ZipRecruiter makes it fast and easy. Talk to CEO Dylan Miskowitz, who needed to hire a director of coffee for his company, Cafe Altura.
We would look through lots of applications for people who were not qualified. It definitely felt like we were looking for a needle in a haystack.
So Dylan started using ZipRecruiter and found his perfect candidate.
So what we've learned today, Chris, is that you do not like roller coasters. You do like taking drives for vacation. You
No. I don't like taking drives for vacation. I just don't like to fly, but I will fly.
Right.
I pretty much fly anywhere we go.
And also that you're having trouble figuring out who the greatest living American rock band is right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Kiss or Metallica would probably be my go-tos. The Eagles would be very good too.
Okay.
You know what the greatest living American rock band is? I just figured it out.
Jason, yes.
They're called the Triplets. Troy Aikman, Emmett Smith, Michael Irvin.
I don't know if that's necessarily a rock band, Jason, but that was a from the
Rock band meaning figure of speech.
Got it.
Got it.
But also, Chris,
most of what we worry about never comes to fruition. So let's take some time to be calm and to be kind.
so if you look in the on the message I sent you, we're coming back here.
The Frank Beckmann Show, News Talk 760 WJR. Now in for Frank, here's Chris Renwick.
800-859-0957, 800-859-0WJR, the number for you to call or text. Here's another thing that I think could be brought up tonight. And it's absolutely fabricated. And this was something that kind of bothered me all weekend. And we had touched on it towards the very end of the show on Friday. And it's this whole birther thing again. And now the president's being blamed for it and how it's racist. And this is a racist a piece that the president is using to further build his campaign on race and division and so forth. And the most unbelievable part in all of this is not something that the president brought up. This is not something that his campaign brought up or the White House brought up. This is none of that. He was asked about it in a press conference by a reporter from Newsweek. Newsweek then put out an op-ed by a lawyer who questioned the constitutionality of all of this. Kamala Harris was born in California. She is eligible. But the question that was brought up to the president in his press conference, and he goes, yeah, look, I just heard about this. I don't know. It seems like the Democrats would have done their homework and made sure that this is the case, but it's out there. I don't know. So now it's Donald Trump doesn't discredit this birther movement, and now it's attached to his name. And now Newsweek has come out and apologized for the op-ed that they published that questioned Kamala's citizenship. They're not taking the op-ed down, but they are going to put the apology at the end of the note. And then you've got pretty much everybody, most outlets, now attributing this to Donald Trump. And it's his fault. Now he's saying this. Mark Meadows told Jake Tapper, this is not something we're going to pursue. He also said, actually, Jake, you and a number of the media, y'all have spent more time on it than anybody in the White House has about talking about it. This is a non-issue. Steve Cortez told Chris Wallace on Fox News Sunday yesterday that the president never brought this up. The campaign never brought it up. The members of the media asked about it and are trying to create a controversy that doesn't exist. And I agree. I completely agree. After Kamala was announced as the pick to be Joe Biden's VP, that was never talked about until he was asked about in a press conference. And now it's, they take a piece of gum and they stick it to the back of the paper and they put it on him. Now it's stuck to him. This was never his thing. He never did this. He commented about it once and that was it. And now it's Donald Trump's a racist for questioning that. To me, that drives me nuts. 800-859-0957. 800-859-0WJR. You can talk about that. But again, my question is simple here for you. Is what is the number one thing brought up tonight to start this convention? What is it? Is it schools? Is it Black Lives Matter? Is it race relations? Is it COVID? Is it schools? Is it the post office? Is it just that Donald Trump's a bad guy? 800-859-0957. Let's go to Ortonville and Rick. Good morning, Rick. And Rick? All right, Rick isn't there. Let's go to Dearborn and Steve. Good morning, Steve. All right. Let's try again. Let's go to Greg in Shelby Township. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, C-Note. Mr. Positive here. Am I coming through loud and clear?
I figured it was you. Go ahead.
Very good. You can hear me. Very good. I love the way you did your homework. Spot on. Way to go with that birther thing. Number one. Number two, talking about the post office and getting people to come to give out the stimulus checks. Here's the thing, my friend. Objectively, we got to look at this. We are killing people. People aren't getting their medication. People are losing their homes. It's all about politicking. And tonight, with the Democrat convention, like everyone said, Charlene had a great saying, but like everyone said, they're going to put down Trump. And here's the thing. They could use this as a platform to put out their policies that they wish to bring forth to the American public. But they won't. They'll just go, Donald Trump is bad in this, Donald Trump is bad in that, Donald Trump is bad, and it's going to go nowhere. And it's very sad.
Well, I don't disagree. And look, going back to what Chuck said, and look, Nancy Pelosi put a bill out, and the Senate never moved on it. Okay, and that's fine. I understand that. But when you put so much fat on the bill, there's the discussions are going to take a little longer, right? And I'm not saying that the Senate bill didn't have that, but there needs to be concessions. There needs to be some bipartisan work. But the fact of the matter is the Democrats don't want to give the president a victory right now. They don't want to allow another bill to go through without all of their requests to go through, because then it's their bill going through. You see? And so now, and look, and one of our texters put it great. Republican bipartisanship working with the Democrats. Democratic bipartisanship, the Republicans must agree to our side. Love it. It's pretty accurate, I'd say, at this point. And look, I'm not saying that the president is right for holding this money up for the post office. We will inevitably have more ballots through the mail this year. But at some point, Nancy Pelosi just can't put her hands in her pockets and walk home. She needs to understand that there has to be some give and take. And there is no give on that side of the aisle, at least right now. Greg, I appreciate the call. Thank you. 800-859-0957. 800-859-0WJR. What's the number one topic tonight at the Democratic National Convention? What is it? You let me know. 800-859-0957. 800-859-0WJR, the number for you to call or text. We're also live on Facebook and on YouTube, so you can come watch the show there if you would. All right, back in a moment. First, stop on the roadways. Check things out there with Dana Clark.
This report is sponsored by the podcast The Pete and Sebastian Show.
The Pete and Sebastian Show with Pete Corielli and Sebastian Maniscalco. It's your two favorite Italian-American comedians bringing you nonstop laughs and outrageous stories from the snapshots of their everyday lives. Find The Pete and Sebastian Show wherever you listen to podcasts.
Accident at 75 northbound right before 696, right at 10 Mile. It is blocking the right lane, seeing delays from at least 7 Mile. Midday construction today along 75 southbound at the Davison. That ramp is closed for construction until 3 p.m. Now, WJR weather first from the Weather Channel.
We'll be dry initially on this Monday. Then our front may trigger an isolated shower thunderstorm this afternoon with a high of 82. Clearing will take place tonight with a low down to 60. And a sunny and cooler Tuesday with a high close to 77. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Jeff Maher on News Talk 760 WJR.
Hey guys, four-time Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty here for Pain Free Life Centers, and the weather's nice, and I know when it gets a little bit colder, when the weather's going to change, I can feel it. August being the Sunday of summer means it's coming to the end, which means the cold will be coming. But if you're like me and your body is dictated by the weather, let's get ahead of it. Let's get ahead of this cold in Michigan. We know the weather's going to change. Let's take control of our own bodies. Pain-Free Life Centers is the absolute answer for any of the pain you have. No pills, no injections, no surgery, just high intensity, high dosage, FDA approved laser therapy at the cellular level. Since Pain-Free Life Centers in Troy has come into my life, I am pain-free. You can be pain-free too. Make your appointment. Call 248-879-1100 or go to painfreelifecenters.com. Good enough for a four-time Stanley Cup champion. Why is it good enough for you?
For over 100 years, Absopure has remained committed to serving communities throughout Michigan. And now, in your changed work environment, Absopure is ready to serve you just as they always have. Absopure is dedicated to providing offices with top-notch refreshment and
steam distilled and vapor distilled with electrolytes.
Okay, Chris, you see the last two on the bottom in the private chat there.
Okay.
Are your callers right now.
Okay.
I think what's happening is you're looking a little bit above, so always look down at the last note.
Okay. Let's see here. Patrick, good morning to you. Greta Van Fleet is great, Michigan's own. Reporters act like a bunch of lunatics screaming questions. We don't need to fund Carnegie Hall. Yes, I would agree. I will tell you, though, speaking of Carnegie Hall, you know, Dave, I performed at Carnegie Hall. Did you know that?
I did know that. I did know that.
Twice.
I did know that. Yes.
Yes.
You were telling Danielle about that. That's impressive.
Yes.
That's
yes.
impressive.
Let's see here.
I've seen I think I've seen the 3 Broadway shows in my entire life.
Really?
Yeah, Les Mis, horrible.
Oh, is that about the WWE wrestler?
Into the Woods, which was okay.
I don't know.
And then one that was called Starlight Express. That was that was performed on roller skates, which will tell you how old that one was, which was actually kind of cool.
I've seen 2 actual Broadway shows on Broadway.
Yeah,
I saw Wicked, which was fantastic, and then I also saw 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. That's what it was called.
Really?
Yeah, and it was a terrific show. It was about a kid's spelling bee, and it was very funny. The theater was very, you think Broadway shows and you think very big, but this was on Broadway and it was a very small theater, and it was basically the seating was around. It was a round stage, so the seating was all around it.
Okay.
And all the kids were participating in the spelling bee, like in the middle. It's pretty cool.
Kind of like what they do in Stratford in Canada. The
correct.
Theater.
Yes,
Yeah.
very similar.
Yeah. Coming back here.
Okay. JP, good morning to you. Thomas, good morning to you.
StarRegistry.com. We will name a star after someone very special to you and send an incredible personalized gift. The new star name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Call the Star Registry, 800-282-3333, or visit StarRegistry.com for the hottest gift.
The Frank Beckmann Show, News Talk 760 WJR. Now in for Frank, here's Chris Renwick.
800-859-0957, 800-859-0WJR, the number for you to call. I want to get you caught up here on a couple texts. Last Friday, the Republicans tried to extend the 600 until they finished negotiations, but Nancy said no. Trump made them realize he runs the country and they don't. Al from Windsor. The Democrats want mail-in voting for one reason only. They know the postal system will be completely overwhelmed and chaos will result. This will give them more reason for screaming rigged and having the president chosen by the House. Interesting. I'm with you on the birther crap. But now I just lost my other text. All right, let's get back to the phones. 800-859-0957, 800-859-0WJR. Let's go to Adrian and John. Good morning, John. All right, let's go to Lynn in Millington. Good morning, Lynn.
Good morning, Chris.
Hey,
I've got a comment about.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
I really feel that anybody with any common sense knows the post office would be a disaster for the post office to try and handle all those ballots. I've got a couple examples from a small town in Millington.
Mm-hmm.
If you send something in the post office, you're lucky if anybody would get it within 4 to 5 days, anywhere even close. And I have one other example.
Mm-hmm.
We sent a sympathy card to a friend that lost their parents. It was my fault. I did get the address wrong, but it took 67 days before I got it back in the mail saying that it was couldn't be delivered to that address. If they can't handle their normal mail, how can we expect them to take care of that menagerie?
Well, it's a good point, Lynn, and I think the point that you bring up is, look, this is not really what the post office is for. It's not really what the post office is meant for. It's not really what they do. I mean, yes, they handle certain absentee ballots that you send in, but for the most part, that's not, expecting them to handle such sensitive mail packages, whatever, is not something that particular entity is set up for. So to get it set up in just a few months, yeah, I can see where that's troubling. And especially, right, in little towns, and getting these packages to the post office and then getting them out. And yeah, that would be troublesome. I absolutely understand that. Hey, Lynn, thank you for the call. Appreciate it. 800-859-0957. Let's go to John and Adrian. Good morning, John.
Morning.
Hey.
First of all, I want to say they're going to talk about how bad Trump is, but they don't have to go over anything that they plan on doing.
Right.
And to remember, Detroit's been under Democratic rule for 60 years and has not improved. And as far as the post office handling the ballots, I used to work at a post office, and we got a letter one time mailed from the United States to Spain, but it came to somewhere in the United States because they had the same zip code. So that part, and they're gonna, like I said, they're going to blame Trump for everything. And Pelosi wants her budget passed because she wants to bail out for all the Democratic states because the governor drove all those states into the ground. So now they want the rest of the country's taxes to bail them out. So if I'm going to be a betting man, I bet they blame Trump for everything.
Yeah. No, I think that's probably pretty good, John. I think that's probably pretty right. I think that's going to be the number one. I think they'll have the platform and they'll have all the eyes on them to talk about everything that they could do in the next 4 years, but I don't think they're going to do it. Just like I think they had the opportunity to really groom an actual candidate. Like, I'm under the assumption, right, that instead of, like, they had two, you get to the fork in the road and they had two different ways to go. Like, they could have spent all last year trying to come up with a really good candidate, right? Grooming somebody who they think could beat Donald Trump and only focusing on that. Or they could go the route of impeachment and try to take him out of office and then let anybody run for it. And they think that they could beat, whoever, Mike Pence or whatever. I think that was their options. And I think they spent so much time and focus and energy on the impeachment, knowing, which is crazy to me, knowing that the president would likely get to the Senate hearing and he would be acquitted of the charges, which he was. But because of that, they took their eye off the ball, and now you're stuck with Joe Biden, who, can't keep his story straight. He's out there, making comments left and right about craziness. And now you got Obama going, look, don't underestimate Joe Biden's ability to mess this thing up. Except he didn't say mess it up. I'm just saying. And instead they chose, in my opinion, the wrong route. But I think you're right. It's how bad Donald Trump is. How he's messed everything up. He's screwed this country up every which way. Let's go to Clinton Township and David. Good morning, David.
Good morning.
Hey.
Hey, what I wanted to say is Trump does have a habit of saying something like he heard from other people or somebody said something, and then he'll make a statement. So that sets up plausible deniability. So I understand how you can say he didn't really say that, but he implied that Kamala was not eligible because, and he did say that maybe she wasn't a U.S. citizen, but he said that he heard somebody say that, and he does that all the time. But if he's saying something like that, that's what he believes. And another
wait. Hold on. Let me respond to that, because we can only go off of what he said, right? This is not something that his campaign put out. It's not something he said or Mike Pence said or anybody has said. Nobody's brought that up until a reporter asked him about it at a press conference out of nowhere. I mean, that was an off-the-wall question that was meant to elicit a reaction, and I don't think he bid on it. All he said was, I heard it was out there, but I would think the Democrats did their due diligence in making sure that they had all their ducks in a row, essentially. So no, I mean, the way that you view it is that he implied that it's true, but that's not what happened. Right? That's not actually what happened.
Respond. Why didn't he just come out and say that is not true or something like that? He sort of let it go on by saying he heard somebody say that.
Well, okay, I understand what you're saying, but I can only go off of what he said. And what he said was, I heard it was out there, but I would think it's fine. Essentially. So I get what you're saying, David. I don't think that's the right way to go about it. I think that's how we get into a situation where now you've got the news media, some both print and television going, well, Trump's a racist. Here's the birther thing again. And that's just not what it is. David, I appreciate the call. Thank you. 800-859-0957. 1127 off to the roadways we go with our Dana Clark.
This report is sponsored by the podcast Why I'm Voting. The Why I'm Voting podcast features stories from Will Ferrell, Billie Eilish, Darius Rucker, John Legend, and more about why showing up to the ballot box means so much, not just as individuals, but for our entire nation. Listen to Why I'm Voting wherever you get your podcasts.
That earlier collision, Chris, along 75 northbound right before 696, that incident is finally clear, but still seeing delays from at least 8 Mile. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Marathon. No matter where your travels take you, Marathon can improve your engine performance with quality top-tier gasoline. Marathon, fueling the American spirit. Some clouds, some sun today. Could see a passing shower or thunderstorm this afternoon, a high of 81. Tonight, clear skies, your low 60. Partly cloudy, 73 degrees. I'm Dana Clark, WJR News, with Dick Hafner in about 2 minutes.
Got a minute? Want the latest on how COVID-19 is impacting business and the economy? Then stay in touch with Marketplace Minute, a podcast and smart speaker briefing updated 3 times daily.
I'm Nova Safa with the Market.
All right, let's see here. Let's get caught up on some of our discussions with our people here. Let's see. Most talked about topic for the Dem convention will be, did anybody watch it? My bets will Fox News will kill it in the ratings. Ron Stewart. Ron, good morning to you. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I do believe people will watch.
Oh, for sure.
And you know, I this kind of goes back to my thing with the debates, though, where I think the Trump campaign is actually completely right in wanting an earlier debate, so a 4th debate earlier before some 16 states start sending in their ballots in through the mail. I think that is absolutely right, because there should be a question and answer, and Joe Biden should be forced to answer questions from the media, from tough journalists, and he should face tough questions, because I think that's only fair. So, yeah, I believe people are going to watch, because we haven't heard from Joe Biden. We haven't heard from anybody.
I'm looking forward to the debates for sure. That's going to be must-see television.
Yeah. JP, the Democrats don't care about what America wants. It's what they want, or the highway. Mail-in voting should only be used for absentee vote. If you can't be at the polls between 7 and 8, you have planning issues. Thomas Steenberg, the post office is being constantly downsized and underfunded. Okay. Are they using those funds properly? Or is it just a waste? Now, look, I think we should be funding the post office, but to fund them to do things that they've never really done or been expected to take part in, like mass amounts of mail-in ballots, I don't think that's fair to put on them in just a couple months.
It's 2020. Wouldn't you think that we could just vote on our phones?
I mean, yeah, but again, that hasn't been done. I mean, we haven't figured out a system for that.
I know, but like,
and what if you don't have a phone? I mean, you're voter suppressing right there, Dave.
This whole voting, this whole mail-in, you know, it's just crazy. It's so antiquated. It's so, I mean,
Trump has been in office for 3.5 years. The Congress has been in office for a lot longer, and they will impeach Trump again if we let them vote him out, JP says. Chris Dave, are you better off than you were in 2007?
Now?
I mean, I guess. I mean, I'm fine. I guess so.
Man, I don't know. I mean, that was good in 2007.
I'm sorry, not 2007, 2017.
I mean,
that was 3. I mean, yeah, I think so.
I mean, you know, I guess. I don't know.
The impeachment is all about lies to take the Senate. They say it now and are running on it as their biggest part of their platform, Todd says. Democrats will eventually destroy this country. They have no message and are ready to implode and will take us down with them. And now I lost it. Oh, they do not care about this country. MSNBC did it, set up for Harris and her right to run. Why should he bite 100%? So what? He let it ride, but the Dems ride on these things every minute of the day on the networks, on the 5 networks. The president gave this country a chance to shine. The Dems will destroy it. They have no idea, just point fingers, race baiting. It's never their fault. Ron Stewart. Thomas says, when you have no message, they scream racism. How many times can you scream fire? I suppose that's an interesting point, but, you know, there are people that feel that in this country, and you know, I don't know that we should totally turn away from that. The Democrats will try to tell America that Trump decimated the economy, that Obama saved and repaired the economy, and then will blame and force the COVID economic crash on Trump. Too late. They already have. Kamala Harris did it in her acceptance speech with Joe Biden the other day. 16 million people are out of work. Unemployment is so high. And there are people starving in this country. Right. So it's Trump created the virus to crash the economy. It's his fault. Apparently, he created starvation, too. That one missed me. They will not mention the record low unemployment and job creation under Trump. I won't be watching because I really don't enjoy feeling nauseous. Well, I'll tell you. I think I think they.
I think unemployment's going to be mentioned, but not that.
No.
Not that.
Go back to February. Unemployment was I think it was 3.5%, 3.2% in February. So right before the virus kicked in March.
Let's be honest. The unemployment that's going on has nothing to do with Republicans or Democrats. It has to do with the virus.
Yeah, it has to do with
the virus has nothing to do with Republicans or Democrats either. It's the virus doesn't choose, if it's a Republican or a Democrat.
Right, but my point is for the Democrats to come out and for Kamala Harris to come out and blame it on Trump is just flat out wrong. That's crazy.
No, it's not anybody's fault. It's a pandemic. We haven't seen this. This is something that is new to everyone.
So now unemployment's 10.5%. So weirdly, unemployment has skyrocketed right about the time the virus came in. And right about the time we got locked into our houses. And businesses couldn't survive.
Exactly.
Weird. JP, vote in person if you can't have technology.
Okay, but
TR Bain, they will not mention the record low unemployment and job creation under Trump. I won't be. Oh, I read that. Jim, why does it say on the USPS website that they are not taxpayer funded? Oh, I don't know. I hadn't seen that. Ron says, Joe did a live chat this week and had 200 viewers. I don't think many will watch. He gets like 20 people at his rallies. My old hair metal band had more fans than that.
Chris will go see it. He's
yes. Yeah.
All right, we're coming back.
I don't know. This is all going to be crazy.
Youth and much more. So tune in to The Rich Paul Show, Saturdays at 9 a.m., Mondays at 7 p.m.
The Frank Beckman Show, News Talk 760 WJR. Now in for Frank, here's Chris Renwick.
All right, so I want to read you a text here because, look, I'm not saying that the post office can't do this, but this is not what they're built to do, okay? This is not what they're built to do. They're not built to handle mass amounts of mail-in ballots. It's not their job to protect the ballots. Their job is for when you go on Amazon and go, I want this thing, and you click it and order it, they bring it to you. That's the job. That's their job. We value that job. That's important to us as more of our attention and commerce has gone online. But you don't just go, hey, General Motors, we want you to start making Twinkies. Can you handle that? And they're like, well, that's not our thing. We could, but that's not our thing. Or maybe better yet, hey, General Motors, can you start making skateboards? Sure, but we'd have to figure that out. Now, the post office has handled absentee ballots before for a while, but to handle it at the volume that it'll come in at, and a very precious, Reese, that's your vote. It's a very precious parcel. They're not ready to handle all that yet. And to do it in a couple months is, I mean, that to me is crazy. One of our texters here said 1.3 billion Christmas cards sent annually, but the post office can't handle a couple 100 million ballots. Don't let them sit on the counter till the last minute. Fair, but if somebody loses your Christmas card, it's not the end of the world. Maybe you won't see little Timmy and Jan and how much they've grown this year, but at the same time, it's a Christmas card. It wouldn't be the end of the world if you didn't get it. But if your vote didn't get to the place it needs to get to in time, well, that's different. So I'm not saying that they can't handle it, but it's a lot different if your Christmas card gets there on December 28th as opposed to December 23rd or the 24th or even the 20th. Well, they don't work on Christmas, but the 24th. It's a bigger deal. 800-859-0957. My question to you remains the same. What is the number one talking point tonight as the Democrat National Convention starts? What is it going to be? Schools, COVID, race relations, or just Donald Trump's just a moron? What's it going to be? Love to know what you have to say. 800-859-0957. 800-859-0WJR, the number for you to call or text. We're also live on Facebook and on YouTube, so you can watch the show there. All right, let's get back to the phones. Let's go to, how about we go to Charlie in Saginaw? Good morning, Charlie.
Hi.
Hey,
Chris, how you doing?
I'm good. What can I do for you?
Listen, I think that the one thing the Democrats won't talk about in the care prevention is the violence that's going on around the country, because the entities that are spurring the violence are backing the Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
So,
yeah. They won't talk about the Black Lives Matter activist in Chicago who said, hey, it's fine if people want to steal and loot and take things. That's their right. It's part of reparations. These businesses don't. It doesn't matter to them. They've got insurance. They'll be covered. They won't talk about that?
They haven't come out and talked about it yet. And maybe if they would have, they could have helped ebb the flow of the violence, but they didn't.
Hey, that's a good point, Charlie. I agree. I don't think that gets brought up. I think you're absolutely right about that. Thank you for the call, my friend. Appreciate it. 800-859-0957. Let's go to Bill in Sterling Heights. Good morning, Bill.
Morning, Chris.
Hey.
Before I get to my point on the Democratic convention, let me talk about your point. The post office is precisely built for this. Parcels. They're built to carry vast volumes of mail. They're built to carry the VA medicine prescriptions that people aren't getting.
Mm-hmm.
They're built to carry the Social Security checks that people aren't now getting. If that's not an appropriate application, unlike the examples you gave with General Motors, there isn't one.
Okay, and that's fair, Bill. That's fair. But how many times have you ordered something online, or how many times have you been expecting something and it just didn't come? How many times has the post office delivered mail to your house and maybe delivered your mail to somebody next door, or vice versa? I'm not saying that they're incapable of it, but when you and look, yes, people get medications delivered, but I go back to the point about the Christmas card, right? If your Christmas card doesn't get delivered, everybody will be fine. But if your vote somehow gets misplaced, and look, we all make mistakes, that's fine, and it's not an indictment against the post office, but my point is that is a very precious piece of mail that's going in there, and any chance that gets screwed up is an issue when you've got an influx of votes coming in. That's all I'm saying. Yes, they've handled absentee ballots for a long time, but my point is when you have an influx in it, it creates a possibility for your vote not getting there in time, or and especially with our day and age today with COVID and everybody's at home and buying more and more online. Everything takes a little longer. That's all I'm saying.
But the Democratic convention.
Yeah.
No, they're not even going to mention the word evil. Their general theme will be the president's incompetence and it's dangerous to the Constitution and our democracy. Those are going to be the themes. Specific examples are going to be given. This overwhelming COVID problem. I mean, what we did in China in January and February, shameful. As far as praising Xi Jinping, Xi Jinping, on how great a job they were doing, kicking us out of the country, not being able to get to the root of it. That in turn created numerous problems with us being slow, getting supplies, denying the problem existed at all, and in turn we had now 23% of the world's death with 4% of the population. We got a terrible economy now that could have been handled much more efficiently as far as the damage done if we got ahead of this. Now we got the worst of both worlds.
All right, Bill. Hey, Bill, I'm up against it. I understand your point, and I believe look, I think China should be held accountable. I don't think you're wrong about that. Hey, thank you for the call, my friend. I appreciate it. 800-859-0957 is the number for you to call or text. We're live on Facebook and on YouTube, so you can watch the show there. But in the meantime, let's head on out to the roadways and check it out with Dana Clark.
Looking at midday construction, 75 southbound at the Davison. That on-ramp is closed until 3 p.m. today. 96 eastbound at Old Plank Road, right lane. Construction blocking that lane until 3. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Shelving.com. Celebrate 60 years with Shelving.com, a Michigan family business offering Detroit-made durable Unirack brand pallet racking. Maximize space at your manufacturing facility, warehouse, school, and home. Order today at Shelving.com and get a free design consultation and 11% off. That's Shelving.com. We rack your world.
After a dry start to this Monday, a front may trigger an isolated shower thunderstorm this afternoon with a high of 82, then clearing tonight, the low down to 60, and it will be a sunny Tuesday tomorrow with a high reaching 77. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Jeff Marr on News Talk 760 WJR.
Life's a little different. It's been a
All right, let's see here. Jim, if you had $1 million lottery ticket, would you send it through the mail to check it in?
What was the
Interesting.
What was the
Interesting thought.
What was the question?
If you had $1 million lottery ticket,
Yeah.
would you send it through the mail to get it cashed?
No, you drive to Lansing. What are you talking? No, of course not.
All right. So then why should you send your ballot in? Interesting point. That's all I'm saying. So Jim values his ballot,
wait a second.
values his vote highly.
Hold on a second, though.
And I don't think he's wrong. Go ahead.
You cannot send your ballot registered return receipt. Maybe you can send the lotto ticket return registered receipt to make sure they got it, like you send your taxes in.
Okay, probably, but that's not the point. What happens? What happens if your envelope a strong gust of wind and now it's on the street somewhere? It's in John's backyard. I'm just saying.
So you're comparing a mail-in voting ballot to $1 million lotto ticket win.
Yeah, but the point I believe Jim is making, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Jim.
I understand.
It's a very valuable thing.
Yeah. True.
So why wouldn't you just go and take it? Now, here's another thing. And we'll get to this in just a moment, but we had a texter call in and basically go, look, why don't you just take the ballot to your place? Take it to your city hall or clerk or wherever. Take it in. But then why wouldn't you just go vote? Now, there'll be less people there probably. And I still think, absentee ballots are very important, right? Like if you've got elderly people who can't get out, they need to vote. Or if you're in the service and you need to vote, yes, absolutely you should vote. And those are very valid reasons. But to now send millions and millions and millions more ballots in.
It's a valid point. Which brings up a side question that has nothing to do with mail-in anything. Yes or no to giving scratch-off lotto tickets as gifts?
I don't think you can give the scratch-off lottery ticket as the gift. I think it has to be an accessory to the gift.
Really?
Yes.
So you're okay with giving scratch-off tickets as a gift? A potential $1 million winner, you're okay with giving it as a gift?
Yeah, but you don't know, though. That's the difference.
I know you don't know. I'm just saying. How would you feel? Let's say you give somebody a $10
I'd be
scratch-off
salty.
ticket.
No, I'd be salty.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I'd be salty. Let's see here. Phil Harrison, 10,000 ballots in Michigan did not get returned in time for the primary election. Many other ballots were filled out improperly with splitting the ticket, and we're not counting. There's a problem simple enough to drop off valves in a separate box at the post office marked balance only and have a poll worker watch the box and collect them at the end of the day. I think that's a good point, Phil. Let's see here. Where did I go? Thomas says Democrats will do whatever they can to delegitimize election results. If it's not the Russians, it's the Vulcans or Klingons. Whatever they lose, election will be on somebody else's fault. I transferred because there was an opening, not because of increased production. Okay. Dems were more smart when they celebrated Trump's accomplishments, and then there's evilness takes credit for
News
it.
Talk 760 WJR. Now in for Frank. Here's Chris Renwick.
All right, welcome back. 800-859-0957. 800-859-0WJR, the number for you to call or text. Let's get right back to the phones. How about we go to Fred in Rose City? Good morning, Fred.
Good morning.
Hey.
Just a suggestion on the Democratic convention. All they're going to do is bash Trump like they always do. It'll be the same thing over and over. And also on the problem with the mail-in voting and everything, why don't they look into opening the polls on November 1st at midnight and keeping them open 24 hours for the full 3 days until midnight on November 3rd. See if they can get enough poll workers to man the post, and maybe give a suggestion of by alphabetical, the first letter of the last name, suggest that they go on certain days, not required, but suggest it, and maybe they can spread it out and get more people in there actually face to face with it.
Boy, that seems like that would be quite the haul. I would be,
but
yeah, no, it's an interesting thought, Fred. I don't know that we'd see something like that, but it's an interesting thought. Hey, I appreciate the call. Thank you. 800-859-0957. Let's go to Marianne in Temperance. Good morning, Marianne.
Good morning, Chris.
What can I do for you? What do you got?
Well, listen, I am a retired letter carrier after 35 years of proud service. Let me tell you, the American public has no idea what goes on behind the scenes in delivering mail. This is corrupt to the core as far as mail-in voting. Number one, both postal unions, American Postal Workers Union and the National Association of Letter Carriers, have endorsed Joe Biden. They want Donald Trump out bad. Why would you want to trust your ballot in their hands? Secondly, mail is delivered to vacant houses and apartments every day on every route. Sometimes people up and leave in the middle of the night. The carrier doesn't know it, continues to deliver the mail. Anybody can grab those ballots. Another thing, postal workers are also calling in sick. There's open routes all over the cities. They're calling in COVID sick. So you think we've got the manpower to do this?
No, those are all, Marianne, those are all great points. And let me, I'd like for you to kind of shed some light on what I'm saying, because again, I think most mail workers, they've got a lot on their hands, and I'm not putting any blame on them, but mistakes happen when you're handling a lot of mail. And I mean, when you're talking about an increase in ballots that are coming in from all over the country, to me, that's not what you guys are there for. You guys are there for delivering, yes. I mean, look, things come through the mail that's important, medications and whatever, legal documents and whatever it is. But to then throw in something as important as a vote into the mail and expect it to just go off without a hitch, I think is kind of misguided. Like the
public realizes how much mail is delivered to vacant houses that anyone can grab out of those boxes. People move and don't tell us they're forwarding the address. So we continue to deliver the mail at those homes, unbeknownst to us, though they're sitting there in the wide open. This is bad on all fronts.
I hear you, Mary. Hey, thank you for the call. Appreciate it. 800-859-0957. Let's go to Richmond and Pam. Good morning, Pam.
Chris.
Hey.
I just want to say about the birther issue. This is
not
defense of anything Trump said, and it's not one of the top 10 reasons to not vote for Harris either. But I just think that people need to think about the difference between a citizen and a natural-born citizen, which is not defined by our Constitution, and we're a self-governing country. And I think we all have the right and obligation to read our Constitution and think about that, what that means, and decide for ourselves what it means to us and whether we feel that person is qualified or not, because it has not been legally, constitutionally defined.
Okay, well, that's fair. And look, I don't really want to get into this in terms of what it means. She was born here.
Right.
So
able to say it themselves, and I don't think we need to use it as a cause for attack on anybody, and I don't think we need to dismiss people as being conspiracy theorists for want to think about our laws and what they mean and if they are being carried out effectively and how we would interpret them if no court has done it yet.
Sure, I understand that, but my point is for several media outlets, like CNN or whoever, MSNBC, to go and label Donald Trump as racist because of this. I find that to be incredibly irresponsible when it's not. It wasn't Donald Trump who came out and said, I don't know, I'd like to see her birth certificate. I'm not really sure. That was not the case. It was a gotcha question at a press conference. And he goes, look, I don't know. Apparently that's out there, but I would imagine the Democrats did their homework to figure it out. I don't see what the issue is. And then to pin it on him as, like this is a badge that you have to wear now and you're a racist because of it, I think is wrong. I think it's irresponsible.
I totally agree with you. I think it was a great point, and I'm glad you made it.
All right, Pam. Hey, thank you for the call. Appreciate it. 800-859-0957. 800-859-0WJR, the number for you to call or text. Hey, somebody on Facebook, on our stream here or YouTube, came up with an interesting question. And it was, if you had $1 million lottery ticket, would you send it through the mail to get it cashed? Would you? It's a pretty important piece of paper to prove that you just won $1 million. Would you send it in? Or would you drive up to Lansing and go that way? Just some food for thought. All right, let's try to get one more caller in here. Let's go to Joan in Westland. Good morning, Joan. Joan? Oh, no. Hey, Dave, why don't you hop on with her real quick? And I don't know if she's got the radio turned up or if she's on a speaker, but we'll try to reconnect with Joan in just a minute. But my point is, I mean, if you've got that $1 million lottery ticket, you're going to drive to Lansing and get it cashed in. COVID be damned. You're going. And I think the point remains the same where, you've got your ballot and it's a very important thing that you've got and you're exercising that right. But I'm just saying, I'm not, and look, you go and get that taken care of, you can social distance, whatever, but you go to vote, your vote's being counted right there. Boom, in the machine and away you go. Yep, you probably might have to wait outside for a little bit. Early November could be cold, but it's there. So look, tonight at the convention, I think it's very simple. I think you're going to hear what a bad job Donald Trump is, what a bad person Donald Trump is, how he has ruined our country, how unemployment has ballooned to 10.5%. People are starving. He's trying to suppress votes by not funding the post office. I think that's the theme of the night. I'm really interested to hear what Gretchen Whitmer has to say tonight, too. Really interested. Because she could go a couple different routes, right? She could beat the drum of, look, Michigan's great. Look at our numbers. Look at our COVID numbers. We did everything right. As a Democrat, this is our modus operandi. This is our model, and we've got it down. I'm interested to know where she goes with this. Or is she going to take a different approach? Does she go on the attack of Donald Trump? Can't wait to hear it. We'll talk about it tomorrow with you right here on the Frank Beckmann Show, 9 to noon. Chris Renwick in for Frank this week. Appreciate you listening. And we will talk to you tomorrow. But first, don't go anywhere. Let's catch up with Dana Clark, check things out on our roadways.
Well, it looks like we are just looking at construction right now. Chris, 75 southbound at the Davison. That on-ramp is closed for construction until 3 p.m. And the Lodge northbound between 9 and 10 Mile, 2 lanes closed also until 3. Now, WJR weather first from the Weather Channel. Seeing clouds right now. Could see some showers or thunderstorms this afternoon. Peaks of sunshine here and there. A high of 81 tonight. Clear skies, your low 60 for Tuesday. Some clouds, some sun, no rain. A high of 77. Mostly cloudy skies, 77 degrees. I'm Dana Clark, WJR News with Marie Osborne in about 2 minutes.
At the Detroit Zoo.
All right, Chris.
All right. I can see a couple comments here. Let me catch up real quick here.
We do this by keeping
Let's see.
and turning waste into power
Jim's point is one flaw. Didn't everyone used to mail in taxes?
by teaching not
Yes, I think they did.
but the care
JP, how much is a vote worth?
environment
I mean, it's worth a lot.
in our care are thriving.
In my mind, it's worth a lot.
Sanctuary to those in
Bill, they will bring up Trump attacking peaceful protesters in D.C. and Portland and Seattle. They'll talk about him being against strong women and blacks. They won't bring up the new peace agreements between Israel and UAE with more to come. Yeah, it could be true. Ballots, apples, and oranges. Absentee is a process. You must jump through hoops. Mass mailing is not the same. You're not on record. Trump said that in 2008. In Iraq, vote didn't count. Found in New York 1 month after election. Chris, give me a lottery ticket. It wins the 1.6 billion jackpot. Chris will be well rewarded. Thank you, JP. That's kind. I appreciate that. Spreading the vote all over 3 days would not work. People would start exiting polls and get the idea which way the race is going before it would be decided to vote and have a reflect of the outcome of any election or segment of the election. I think you're probably right about that. Fred from Rose City had a great idea to speak more on the election. No work that day. Susan K. Good morning, Susan. I never knew there was a limit of times you can share a post on Facebook. As I was sharing this, Facebook says it's been shared enough. Interesting. The prevailing belief is that overwhelming majority of slave owners in America are white, and this is correct. What might be less known is that the first slave owners in America were black men. I suppose I'd have to do some research on that, Susan. I've received mail at my address for people that used to live there years ago. Yep, absolutely. I receive at a regular basis at least 3 occupants of my apartment. Yep. Pan did great. She could apologize for all the people she's killed. I don't know what that means. Oh, Gretchen Whitmer. So when is Rush Jr., a.k.a. Frank, coming back? Hey, Patrick. I suppose that's a compliment. Frank will be back next week. He's on vacation. He's on a little family vacation this week. And yep, everybody said Frank. All right, guys. Hey, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow. Dave, nice job. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.
Take care,
and,
Chris.
We'll talk some convention tomorrow. How about that?
Sounds good. See you.
All right, everybody. Have a good one.